Okay, hello, broads.
Hi, broads.
Happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. Happy Love is Blind finale. My goodness, here we are. Can you believe?
My names of these shows are so jumbled up right now.
Oh, especially Listen to Your Heart, Love is Blind. Like, how am I supposed to tell the difference?
They're so similar somehow, and I keep referencing the two as each other. It's just a mess.
And I'm really wanting that maybe Love is Blind season 2, that they have some sort of like musical crossover that happens. Where,
oh
like,
my
the whole
God.
Cast
could it get any cringier?
comes out together and does like a chorus line, like the final couples.
Okay, let's talk real quick. Listen to Your Heart.
Yes, so broads, Bekah and I officially started recapping the new Bachelor series spinoff, Listen to Your Heart, and I saw that the ratings for the show itself are low.
So I didn't look at those, but I could tell immediately because one, no one gave a shit about my Listen to Your Heart tweets, and two, I was checking on some of their someone like Jamie might on night one of like The Bachelor have like 75,000 followers or like something like that, you know?
Have a big uptick.
There's none of that. I mean, I shouldn't say none, but like
it's minimal.
The online response just gauging by the different social medias is like viewership is low.
I saw the numbers and it was something like typically The Bachelor gets something like between 6 and 7.5 million viewership wise, and Bachelor Listen to Your Heart was like 2.6.
62% of my followers said no, they didn't watch it, and 30% said yes.
That's crazy.
I think fucking give it a chance.
Give it a chance. Okay,
please, people.
If you didn't. I'm telling you, I mean, here we are. We're all kind of stuck in the same situation. We are not going to get a Bachelor in Paradise.
Well, also, it's not that bad. Like, I think
really
people
not.
are expecting it to be like really cringy and terrible. And like, yeah, of course it was a little bit, but not much more than the normal Bachelor shows, in my opinion.
No, well, you and I mean, we were the ones who were like screaming from the rooftops at the very beginning of this whole thing that we were like,
so
oh
dumb.
God, this is going to be so brutal, blah, 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 blah. But you and I both loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, like, love, and again, there was something, but that's the thing, though. Like I said, we're not going to get Bachelor in Paradise. I think people are forgetting that, like, this is really the only Bachelor content you're going to get until maybe September, which is going to be The Bachelorette.
Yeah.
We were supposed to get Listen to Your Heart, Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise, and Bachelor Summer Games, and the Senior Citizen one, and we're not going to get any of those things. So this is our only... This is our only outlet.
Beggars can't be choosers.
Exactly. And you know what? Like I said, we really enjoyed it. So if you haven't watched it and you haven't listened to the recap, I swear it was really fun. I think the season's going to be really fun to watch too. I think it's going to end up getting dramatic and fun. And I don't know.
I know. I saw people being like, well, I'll listen to your recaps, but I'm not going to watch it. And I'm like, just try it.
Yeah, I promise. You want to see these characters in the actual show because there's a fun variety. So
yes,
that's all I'll say.
And then this is our last recap of Love is Blind. Can't say I'm devastated, but it's been fun.
Yeah, you know what? I had so much fun watching this show. I'm extremely excited for season 2. I have a lot of thoughts about it because I have been listening to some podcasts with like one or two of the contestants and like diving into some info. And I do have some strong feelings about this show now in the sense of production and things like that this show's pretty sketchball.
Well, yeah, I believe it. And also it's like this started out, I wonder if it'll change for season 2, but it's like it started out pretty low budge and just kind of, I don't know, first season, shit's probably pretty gnarly.
What I hadn't thought about, which is crazy, is that these people who did end up getting married, because the show was filmed like a year and a half before it aired,
have to hide it.
They had to hide their relationship for a year and a half. And I was listening to Kelly talk on Girls Gotta Eat podcast, and she's like, yeah, We couldn't have friends take photos of us. We couldn't I mean, for a year and a half, you're married to this person.
Kelly wasn't even with him, though.
No, I know, but that included her dating other people. There
I
couldn't
don't
be
get
like
that
any
because,
of that.
well, you know what? I guess they didn't necessarily know what network it was going to come out on. But I'm like, I don't get it. If it's going to drop on Netflix all at once, you're going to know immediately what happens. But I guess.
I know. Yeah, no. Whatever it may be, they were under that, which is insane to think about. That like for a year and a half, you're like, well, I'm under contract that I can't post about anything or put anything out there.
I went on Amber and Burnett's socials and I noticed that they just didn't have I mean, that was crazy to me.
It's crazy. Like, how exciting is it to finally be like, hi, we're here. I've been married to this person for over a year.
I mean,
like,
I guess I get it because they could have sold it to some like ABC or something like that, in which case they would have dropped like an episode a week and they wouldn't want to spoil it. But it didn't even end up mattering because they dropped like all. Oh, wait, no, it came out week by week on Netflix. I forgot.
Oh, yeah. So that was important. And
okay.
Tons of people watched it. So like they really, really, really had to keep it a secret, though I'm sure they had no idea what type of success they had on their hands.
Wait, whoa. Sorry. Just noticed from Listen to Your Heart. I kind of was wrong. Trevor has 206,000 followers.
But Trevor had a lot of followers beforehand.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He had something like he was over the 100s for sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because Ryan only went from 1K to 14K. Like, I guess Trevor had a shit ton before.
And I will say, also, I know we're getting sidetracked here, but there will be some tea coming out because definitely Trevor's ex that they discussed in the episode reached out to us. So we have to chat about that, Bekah.
Ooh, the tea is hot.
The tea is hot. The tea is hot. But Love is Blind tea. I do have a little bit, but I think we can talk about it like once we get a little farther into it.
All right. Sounds good.
So should we get into?
So first, we're gonna start with all of their dates, their little last dates before they're separated before the wedding. And it struck me then. So I didn't really realize how the structure went. How pretty much everyone had to go to the actual wedding. So Damien ended up looking like a real asshole when we get to that part because he was the first one, and I'm like, what the fuck? And then you're like, oh, this is the way it goes. And I realized that like physically, the couples were not even with each other before the wedding, like therefore they couldn't even break up or say anything to the other person to prep them before the wedding, even if they wanted to.
Well, and apparently they were under contract that if they got engaged on the show, which they hadn't seen each other at that point, if they got engaged on the show, they were required to show up to the wedding.
I guess unless
that was apparently the contract.
I guess unless it just dissolved quickly, like Carlton and Diamond.
Right. So if I get, or maybe there was a certain point of which they weren't, there was like no return. If you do not cross go, and if you do, you're going to be stuck walking down the aisle and having to reject this person in front of all your friends and family and all of America.
So gnarly.
And look like the bad guy. Yeah.
So gnarly. Okay, so we start out seeing Jessica and Mark on their...
Yes. Oh, and
we see Jessica talking with their friends.
We see Jessica talking with her friends, which was a very funny moment for me because her friends are, again, Jessica's like, God, please, someone come
agree
and
with
say,
me that age is an issue. And her friends are like, no, bitch. Oh, no, that really? Oh, I know tons of people with that much of an age gap. That's even more. It's fine, girl.
She's like, I'm begging you, please.
She can't get a single person to say like, 10 years younger than you might be a bit of an issue. Not even the slightest.
No one is coming against her. And in fact, her friends are like, oh my God, it's just like Priyanka and Nick Jonas, and you love them. And you've talked about how you love them.
That's hilarious.
And then I think one of them says like, and Heidi Klum has a guy who's like 27, girl, like you go.
And meanwhile, Jessica's like, her eyes, she's just like, yeah, totally. You're so right. Wow. I guess I'm trendy for being with a younger guy. Okay, also this is the thing about Jessica that really is the biggest thing that makes her a messica. It's like she doesn't have the self-awareness to realize when she's just like saying purely contradictory things, like just straight up lying. And like she's saying to her friends, like, he's my person and like he's my best friend. And they're like, oh, are you having good sex? And she's just like, yes.
Yes. It's crazy. Everything she says, between what she says to people and then in the interview room, the way that they edit it is incredible. They use just the parallel, the back-to-back, just contradictions. She's just full of them.
I mean, and then it was just hilarious because then in the reunion, she's like, I was always honest throughout this whole thing. And I'm like, no, you weren't. You were like the least honest person there.
And it's like, well, granted, she definitely threw Mark every possible curveball. And at one point when they were at that hotel still, she told Mark that like she didn't know if she could physically get there with him. So I suppose she did tell him, but it was like, no. The most honest, I'm going to have to disagree with you.
Well, is there anything else with her friends before we get to their little plane ride date? And
nothing except for the fact that they clearly love pop culture and are excited for their friend to be living her best quote unquote cougar existence.
As usual, they got the best cheese spread.
Got it.
After their plane
ride. The producers
ride.
really set Jess up with the cheese every time without fail. They're like, wow.
After you said that, I noticed watching. I'm like, how do they always have this insane charcuterie spread every time?
Every time they're like, we know that Jessica's really struggling through this, so we're going to at least step up and provide this for her. I mean, her and Mark's interaction is just, you just see the guy, he's just so over the moon about her. And she starts to cry when he says, are you scared of commitment? And she's like silent.
She's like, 2 minutes.
You know what's the thing that's so interesting with her though is I feel like the past few episodes we're seeing a perspective of Jessica where you're like, okay, granted, it being Mark is making it 10 times worse for her, but this is someone who does clearly have major commitment issues. Yeah. Whoever it may be, like she clearly has a lot that she's like processing and going through.
I know, I really feel for her, honestly.
I know, me too. I feel bad for her. I think she's making terrible decisions and she's leading on this guy like crazy, and it is like ridiculous. But there's this part when I watch her that like my heart kind of sinks. It's just like, oh God. Especially when you see her at the reunion later.
I know. Oh God, she just seems so beaten down. That shit was horrible.
Yeah, it was actually terrible.
I know. Every time they cut to her, I was just like, oh God, you just look sad. It was just, I just felt bad. I was like, I think you just need some professional help.
Yeah.
Like, that would be helpful. Anyway.
Yeah. Poor Jess.
I really feel for her. Yeah, and then she has her little speech, and then she ends it with like, it's not that scary. Like she was sort of trying to give her a pep talk or something about how she wasn't scared of commitment.
I think the episode 9 and 10, we see Jessica giving herself pep talks the entire time. Yeah. Like she is, especially on the wedding day episode, it's just like her telling herself how perfect Mark is and how he's her person, and she's just like, we're good, crash and burn into a wall. Yeah. But yeah, I think that was all that was with them.
Yeah.
In their conversation. Yeah. Amber and Barnett, they had their cute little vineyard date.
Oh, yes. I could just see them growing old together in chairs like that, drinking their wine. It was so cute. They're living their best lives.
It was so cute. Bekah, I still cannot. Every morning I wake up and I say, how is it that I just have fallen in love with Amber and Barnett?
Character arc.
What has happened? This is crazy. Literally, I was talking with Evan about it because we've been watching the episodes together, and he told me, he was like, it's wild because the first episode through however long, Amber, for instance, made him like bananas. And obviously he had the similar opinion about about Barnett. But with Amber, he's like, I think I'm in love with her.
She really, like, especially at the reunion when you just see that they both really like have matured and grown each other, and they're both so much like calmer around each other and just like less of assholes. And I know I ended up really, I like did not expect Amber to handle all the shit with Jessica the way she did. And like, yeah, she laid into her in the reunion, but she could have gone like way fucking harder, kind of based on who we see her seeming. Yeah, in the beginning.
Clearly is pissed, but that was kind of the thing where I'm like, there's the charm to Amber where she is who she is, and we've said this before, and like was who she was annoying me at the beginning, yes, but I've started to like fall in love with who Amber is.
Yeah.
I and totally just her like vulnerability and honesty. Well, we see her when they're talking, when her and Barnett are talking, that, you know, she's sold out. He's a little more on edge, but it's definitely like that piece where he's ashamed. He says about being goofy. He wants to grow up. Yeah. And you can tell there's a lot of family pressure.
Totally.
A lot.
Yeah,
of
I was like, well,
pressure.
that confirms it. Like his family just does think he's like the goofy fuck up that no one takes seriously.
And you know they're really proud of his brother, but his brother's clearly miserable in his life.
Clearly, yes. Just yes.
Because marriage is a cage in which you cannot escape ever.
It changes everything.
Are you ready to give up everything? I mean everything. But also at some point, I don't know if it was at this or before the wedding, we see a flashback of Barnett and Amber, and they have this moment in their kitchen where they're talking about how different they are, and that's what makes them like something special between them, and it's just different enough that it works. And I was like, this is what we're talking about, guys. You don't have to create this Mark and Jessica narrative where it's just like we're the exact same, where I feel like Gia, Nina, and Dave, it's just like we're the same person. It's like,
and the irony is that Amber and Barnett are the closest to being like each other than anybody else on the show.
Yes, and even they see their differences. That they are not just one entity floating around that's the exact same person.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, why do you think it's a good thing, too? Like, you don't gotta tout that. I don't get it. So weird.
You don't need that in your life.
Speaking of which, should we skip Gia and Damien? I think maybe they weren't before. I don't know.
Well, let's talk about that date. Do you want to, before we talk about that date, we have to give a special shout out to this sponsor. Oh, Lord, especially in these times, in these current times. Like everyone else, I am trying my hardest to stay home at all costs to keep my family and others safe and healthy. And through all this, I'm definitely learning that there are things I can live without, or errands that I thought were necessary that I now know aren't, which is such a wild thing. The best one being the post office. It's not exactly a secret that going to the post office is sort of a hassle, but I always thought that it was just a part of life until I started using Stamps.com.
I've been using Stamps. I just sent a care package to my friend up north who is a nurse, and I sent her a little care package, put it all together in my home. I happened to have a box from something getting shipped to me, and just went online to Stamps.com, printed out the postage, scheduled a pickup, put it on my front door. Boom, easy. Anyway,
so
if you aren't using Stamps.com yet, you're welcome in advance. They couldn't make it easier, like I'm talking about. They bring all the services of the U.S. Postal Service right to your computer, so you can do everything you'd normally do from the comfort and safety of your own home. And like I was saying, you can use your computer to print official U.S. postage for any letter or package, and you'll even get discounts you can't get at the post office, like 5 cents off every first class stamp and up to 40% off shipping rates. It's definitely cheaper for me to send it home through Stamps.com than going at the post office, which I used to do.
And here's the thing, Bekah and Broads, drum roll please, because now, in addition to offering discounted U.S. Postal Service rates, Stamps.com also offers UPS services with discount rates up to 62%. This is this new thing that they have going on, and I know that there are so many broads, too, with small businesses or broads that have started Etsy shops during all of this who are having to pay a lot for shipping costs. Stamps.com can cut that by more than half, and there's so much so much money, and I literally cannot emphasize this enough, how many dollars add up in the long run when it comes to these shipping costs. Plus, with Stamps.com, you won't even have to pay UPS residential surcharges, which I don't know if you know about this, but residential surcharge is normally applied to each package collected from or delivered to a residential location.
Oh,
you know
wow.
when you see those few dollars added up at the end cost, and you're like, what are those about? That's a residential surcharge.
Oh, wow.
So no more with Stamps.com. They're coming through right now, broads. Stamps.com.
Wow, I did not know that. Well, right now our listeners get a
crazy.
special offer that includes a 4-week trial plus free postage and a digital scale without any long-term commitment. You just go to Stamps.com, click on the microphone at the top of the homepage and type in Chatty. Stamps.com, enter Chatty to redeem your offer. I really do love Stamps.com. My Nana's birthday is coming up too, and I'm literally going to make her favorite kind of bread and overnight it with Stamps.com. So,
that's
and I know it'll be cheaper.
Incredibly
if they're doing
sweet.
that. So, anyway.
That's incredibly sweet. All right. Well, Giannina and Damien.
Okay. Okay. Apparently, Damien can be passionate as fuck, according to these plastic rose petals he has strewn all throughout the house.
Well, this is my most favorite part, is that it's very clear that all these dates were set up by production, and somehow Damien is getting the credit for doing this romantic gesture. And it's like, we're literally getting a clip. Everyone has their own date.
And everyone has the same plane ride shit, like, so it seems.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, well, maybe he added a little bit of flavor to it. I don't know. But it's kind of like, okay, everyone's just like, Damien, or Gia's just like, walks in and just goes,
what does he have up his sleeve now?
when she goes in the bed, is covered in those plastic petals, and the dress and the shoes and the boxer on it. Dame, what did you do? What are you planning? And it's like, Giannina, when she talks like this, it's literally like watching like a softcore porn where she's discovering alien life form. Like, what is this outside of this planet? Aliens, what have you done? You naughty, naughty, naughty. It's just like, what's going on? Like, I just don't get it.
Oh, yeah. And when we get to their wedding, too, I felt like I was watching a soap opera wedding scene. It was just like, which that actually didn't even have to do much with Gia and Damien, though. I mean, we'll get to that.
But we'll get to that. We know where she gets it from. Let's just put it that way.
I mean, yeah, it's just, and it's also just so cheesy, like that Tumblr date idea of like, put on this dress. And I'm going to take, and also their outfits for the prop plane ride were so inappropriate.
It's just like, also if Evan were to ever do that and be like, put this dress on, I'd be like, no. I'm going to wear the dress that I would like to wear for the occasion. Don't put out clothes for me. I don't know what I'm feeling today.
Do I want to wear a whole fur muff thing? Like just going on a casual plane ride? No.
No, probably not.
Well.
Oh, no. But yeah, the two of them, I mean, he makes some comment when they're in an interview. Before he says that, though, the line from Giannina, if you told me a month and a half ago that this would happen to me, I would probably have punched you in the face.
I'm like, what? Why?
I'm like, that feels unnecessary. Just like
at the end of this reality show, you're going to fall in love and get married. Boom. Didn't see that one coming. You're decked.
Especially since whenever she has these conversations, everything's always just like, I would think that she would have been like, if you told me a month ago that this would have happened, I would have scoffed at you. I would have shed a tear. I would have seen the light. Like, it would have been, it's like very dramatic in a romantic way, but then she's just like, I would have punched you in the fucking face.
And then I was noticing how much this was getting thrown around. Like, between her and Amber, I'm like, what is with the face punching thing? Where is this coming from?
What is the pent-up aggression that is happening right now?
Guys, you don't need to do this. Calm down.
A simple conversation is valid. It is enough.
Okay, was I the only one who found the private chef thing really weird?
Oh, you mean because, speaking of softcore porn, because it felt like they were about to invite him into the bedroom with them?
Like making out with him 3 feet away because they live in a very small apartment. And I was just so confused.
She's sitting on Dame's lap and she's just like, Dame, I love you. And then she's like, I love him. And it genuinely seemed like she was bidding the chef over and they were all going to connect in a passionate 3-way kiss. That's what I was hoping for in this moment. But also, how uncomfortable did that chef feel?
Well, I think it's, when you have a private chef, normally you have like separate quarters with a kitchen and you're like in the living room, like drinking wine, like listening to music, and the chef's kind of doing their thing. They're like in a 400 square foot apartment. So this chef is literally like, sorry, can you move? I need to get to the fridge. Like shuffling around.
Hey, where are your ladles? Do you have any wooden top drawer to the left? No. But he's just, it's almost kind of the equivalent of the Bachelor. I have to look into the eyes of this artist as they play me a song as we're dancing, and it's very intimate and you're in a close space. It's just the food version for sure.
Well, then they transition into this very serious conversation about butterflies, which I just could not, I didn't know what was happening.
Whenever Damien and Giannina begin a serious conversation, I attempt to take notes and then I give up halfway through because I'm like, I don't understand what's happening, to be honest. I'm hearing sounds.
I listened, so they came back, but they could leave again. So that's what worries me. And I'm like, are we still talking about these non-existent butterflies in her stomach? I don't get this.
I was just taking notes, just like, so let me get this straight. They're gone, but they're back. But they may fly away. Are you trapping them? Are you wanting them to come back? Or are you letting them go permanently? I don't quite follow the migration pattern. The migration pattern of Damien and Giannina's butterflies is batshit crazy, okay?
Migration pattern. I couldn't fucking believe, too, that a year and a half later, Damien was bringing up the butterflies at the reunion. I was like, is this a weekly, like, butterfly check-in conversation? Like, are they there? Like, no, they've never been there. They're not real.
You know what's weird is that and I could be so off on this time, but if they were filming this in the fall of 2018, this was the same time that Colton, his season was being filmed, fall of 2018, right? Because his then aired January. And he had that weird thing with Cassie and butterflies that everyone was talking about. And then Giannina and Damien had this weird thing with butterflies.
That is weird.
And it was all happening at the same time. That was also the same time when Colton's aired. Remember those butterflies were like in California and winding up on the windshields everywhere? And it was like hectic nightmare. I don't know.
Like some glitch in the Matrix.
Giannina and Damien are really trying to make butterflies work. Colton and Cassie made it work. It was romantic and beautiful and sweet with them. Giannina and Damien so much.
I don't want any part of these.
It's just not there.
I was also just dying because she says his name. I realized like as if she imagines herself to be a character in an erotic novel, you know?
Yes.
She's like, Dame. Oh, Dame. I'm like, this guy isn't sexy. Don't say his name like that.
Yeah. Stop. She would be so great at audio, like erotic audio.
She actually would. She should consider that as a career.
Like, for real, if I turned on some audiobook and it was an erotic novel and it was read by Giannina, I would be pleased in moments.
Did you watch, at one point we were supposed to have an advertiser called Dipsy. Did you ever check out that app? It's like an erotic audio app. Yes, I'm giving them free advertisement right now. But Gia, you should look into a career at Dipsy. That would be perfect for you.
She would kill it.
But,
very smoldering sexy.
But like, am I the only one that just finds Damien, like, I don't know if I could repopulate the earth with him if we were the last two people here. I'm just going to say that. Is that harsh?
No, Bekah, here's the thing. When Love is Blind started, I was like, oh, Damien, I think he's a little goofy, maybe a little awkward. And specifically in these 2 episodes and then in the reunion, I do not think that anymore. I think that Damien thinks he's a big time hotshot and he's got a cocky attitude on him, and Mama doesn't like it. I don't like it. I'm okay with goofy Damien, maybe who I thought was a little bit awkward. I'm fine with that, Damien. Don't vibe so much on Damien who thinks he's, you know,
you see him
God's
kind of
gift.
come out as like a cocky asshole.
Yeah.
Kind of weird.
And it was like, no thanks.
Oh, man.
Well, their conversation kind of basically ends where Giannina is being honest, and if I'm gathering it correctly, she was saying to him that the butterflies are back for her, but she is worried that maybe they would go away again, and she's just being honest with him.
Oh, yes. So in that, I'm like, yo, guys, you've been together like 30 days, and if you're worried about the butterflies leaving already, let me tell you, I've never been with anyone 10 years. Jess, I'm sure you can attest that the butterflies ain't there all 10 years and they come and go frequently.
The migration patterns are strong and swift. But it's true if you feel that way that quickly. But clearly they're still together.
Well,
I'm so curious at how many times they've broken up. That's what I'd like to know.
Yeah, I don't think it's the issue of them going away that quickly. I think it's more like, is your expectation that this butterfly feeling should stay around for the duration of your relationship? Because that may not be realistic.
Right. Very true.
Yeah. I don't. We also just didn't get it. I don't even know how they got back together. The reunion was very unclear on that. What a waste of 55 minutes.
The reunion was a complete waste. It was bullshit. I was very irritated. I had so many questions that were not answered that just seemed like obvious questions that they wouldn't give us, which is part of the reason why I feel like this show is very sus with production. And I feel like they can't talk about a lot of stuff because I think there was a lot that was handled behind the scenes and cut and required that they're probably trying to make it look a certain way and make sure it stays looking that way.
Also just became the Vanessa Lachey show, which I know we'll get into, but can they please recast the hosts for season 2? Is this like a binding contract that it's gotta roll over?
This is our formal request. Is it change.org that does the petition?
I was literally going to say, when do we start the petition? Off them, or at least get rid of Vanessa, please.
My personal request, I'm going on change.org as soon as we're done, and I'm going to ask for Vanessa specifically, but probably both, to be removed, and that instead Lauren or Cameron take their place as the new hosts of the show because they are successful.
That's a really good idea.
And they're wonderful. Like, she's so funny and he's calm. I feel like they'd be a great like couple to host together.
Well, they low-key do that with Married at First Sight. Like, they'll bring back the old successful couples and have them comment on.
It would be great. You don't need hard hosts on this show anyway. So just having Lauren and Cameron pop in every once in a while, check on the couples. Lauren can talk to the women and be like, yo, you guys okay? Cameron can be like, yo, you guys like, you know, I know how it feels and on your nerve. Yeah, it would make sense versus Vanessa and Nick.
Like, what's your guys' story? Are you guys even together?
I'm like, I have a lot of questions about the two of you after seeing this reunion. So,
you guys need therapy. Okay, Kelly and Kenny are next, yeah?
Yes, Kelly and Kenny are next.
I also need a change.org petition to stop giving them these stupid gold wine cups. Why do they all have the same stupid gold wine cups?
Yeah, I want to see the liquid. I want to see how fast these people are drinking.
Did you like? But I'm like, why do all 4 couples have, or 5 couples have the same cups?
Yeah, that was strange, huh? Because Lauren made the comment to Cameron about how that made her feel like he was Caesar and she was Cleopatra, and I was like, except probably Cameron didn't become a murderous dictator, hopefully. So let's not compare him to Caesar. But no, that is weird. Well, yeah, I wonder why.
I don't
they
know.
thought maybe it was going to be a good choice, but I like to see whether people are drinking red or white. It's something I like. It gives me an idea of someone's personality if I can see the color of the vino that is being ingested.
I did like their dock picnic setup. I thought it was actually really cute.
I thought it was so cute. I have a lot of feelings about the two of these people.
I don't really get what's going on.
I don't understand what's going on at all. This couple in particular was the couple that made me start to deep dive into questions that I had about production and editing and all that, because there were some weird moments that we can get into. I mean, with their dock picnic, there wasn't really much.
There wasn't really anything, but the wedding, a lot was going on there.
Yeah. I mean, Kenny just says he's nervous because he says he's not in control of her emotions. And he wishes that he was, because he's like, I need to know that I have 100% confidence in the wedding because the wedding needs to happen. And it seems from Kenny's perspective that he's very clearly ready and wanting to marry Kelly. And like, I didn't get any vibe from Kenny that he was going to say no, which is a little nugget that I'll get into later.
Yeah.
That Kelly is claiming. So yeah, he didn't seem that way. He seemed like he was pretty sold out and wanted to be with her.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
I agree. Yeah, I guess Lauren and Cameron next. I don't think there really is anything else to say. Okay, so their setup was actually romantic. You know how we've talked about like romantic setups that are kind of nauseating, like the rose petals, that whole setup thing, like makes me kind of queasy just thinking about coming home to that. Like genuinely,
Yes.
I don't like it. But that treehouse setup, I'm in. Sign me up.
And we hear Cameron, and he's the only one who like they say in the interview he planned the date himself, and he's the one who I believe actually planned it.
100%.
Because
look at this guy's house, you know.
I know he planned it to a T, and he literally was just like, you know, I like the outdoors. She's a city girl, so I wanted to have like that kind of come together. And then he had photos of them set up around the. It
was cute.
The home. It was so sweet. I mean.
Her vibe though was very off.
She was making me so nervous. Episode 9 and 10, Bekah. I was like, I swear to God, if this doesn't work out, I am turning the show off immediately, and I refuse to recap it, because I thought she was going to step away. I thought she was going to say no in the end.
And that's kind of the funny thing, is she showed the most signs of saying no than any other person.
Mm-hmm. And I think the piece of that, which is so interesting, is you see the fact that they just have really honest and open communication.
Okay. Not too much happens in the treehouse, but we need to talk about their conversation in the kitchen before she heads to her bachelorette party.
Yes, let's go there before we talk about Bachelor and Bachelorette party.
Okay. Well, one, she looks really cute. I liked her, the way her hair was done.
Yeah.
Okay. He's nervous about what she's going to say at the altar, and she's still unsure as she's about to head to the bachelorette party. And she says like, oh, I don't think I'll know until I get up to the altar. And then she says, it would be the same in a normal marriage. And I'm like, no, what are you talking about?
Okay. Here's the thing. I had to empathize with her, because though I would have never said that out loud to Evan.
I actually was going to ask you about your perspective on this.
I had a getaway car. I had my friend George. Shout out George. He listens to the podcast. We were joking and texting, and he's like, if you decide last minute, I love you two together. I know you guys are meant to be. I'd feel it. But like, if you decide last minute that you need someone to take you out of the situation with no shame, no shade, whatever, I'm there. And he was my person.
I have goosebumps. That makes me so uncomfortable.
But
I get that. But I mean, I get it.
It was because like, and this is where we mentioned last week, I'm like, I want to have a wedding episode where we talk about weddings, because I knew with every like part of
we should. That's a good idea.
I knew with every part of my being that Evan was the one who I wanted to spend the rest of my life with. And that was never a question. What was freaking me out was the wedding. It wasn't it wasn't being married even. It wasn't like the idea I want to stay with this person until I die. Like straight up. That was very clear to me. But it was this thing of like the nervousness of the day, everyone staring at me, walking down the aisle, having to like declare our love in front of all these people. Like I was so nervous about that literally the day before our wedding, or the night before, Evan went and spent it with he was with his family and whatever. And I was at home with my mom in the bathtub. She walked in, I'm naked in the bathtub bawling. And she brings me a glass of wine and M&Ms. And we just cried on the floor together. Because I was just like, I don't know what I'm doing. Is this the right thing? Is this the right thing? Even though I knew he was the right one. There was still that panic for me.
Yeah, I mean, people say the whole point is to like declare your love publicly. And there's something that just puts so much pressure on a relationship, even when that's totally solid. It's kind of a lot.
Yes. And I had literally until girlfriend, I had my dress on. I thought I was about to throw up. I was white as a ghost. I had my dress on. And before I walked down the aisle with my dad's like, are you going to pass out? I was so nervous. And I was just like, what am I doing? What am I doing? What am I doing? And then I walked down the aisle, and the second that like I held his hands and I was making eye contact with Evan, all the nerves went away. And I was like, of course, this is what I want to do. And I felt like I saw that happen with Lauren in their wedding too. She was so nervous.
She did seem super sure once she actually got up there.
The second she held hands with Cameron, it was like, yes, this is what I want. But I think there's this thing about the wedding and the pressure and the family and expectations and all that that's just...
Well, people ask all the time, like, oh, well, what's the difference between getting married and like you already have the commitment of kids together? I'm like, I don't know. It's just like different. Why? If it doesn't make a difference, then why are you so insistent that we get married? And it's just different. I don't know. It's a very specific kind of like declaration and commitment.
Yeah, and that's for me what I was getting from Lauren this entire time. I felt her so hard the whole time because I was just like, she wants to be with Cameron. It's so obvious that she wants to be with Cameron and she wants to stay with Cameron and she's in love with Cameron. But she keeps talking about like the wedding day, the guest list, her friends being like, it seems like it was the pressure of the actual wedding and ceremony and all that was just a lot and scaring
also,
her.
There's got to be all those doubts too of like, it's been 30 days. And so like this is not
right.
the best decision. Totally fair.
Mine had been like 8 years at this point, and I was like, I have a getaway car just in case. And by the way, I told Evan I had a getaway car. So he knew. We were full communication. Yeah. I was like, Evan, you need to know that George has the car ready and I might back out last minute. Like,
you mean you didn't want to just run down the street in your wedding dress?
Thought about it.
All right, well, bachelorette party.
Yes, let's talk bachelorette party. Well,
okay.
Go ahead.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I'm just like, the stark contrast.
Oh, it was hilarious.
Party.
The classy casino night versus the girls' party bus stripper situation.
You know, those guys were feeling so gypped and irritated because, you know, you saw Barnett pretending to strip in the corner. Like, they had expectations. And I also, to be honest with you, was really hoping that Netflix was going to give us a very wild bachelorette party and bachelor party, because I was hoping maybe there would be some mistakes that would be made and that they'd have to...
Yeah. I think they like didn't want the guys to look like assholes or something. I don't fucking know.
Probably.
But I wished I was okay. Also, I was really confused at first because I thought that the girls were only having their bachelorette party together because they get into the party bus and they don't have any of their friends yet. And I'm like, what kind of bachelorette party is this? I don't want to be with all these stupid bitches that I've only known for like 3 weeks.
It's like the wedding dress thing. I'm like, why are these?
Yes.
Why are the moms of these women who I barely know saying what they think about my dress?
Then, of course, the night ended up looking fun. But yeah, the guys, it's like cuts to like elevator music. It's like dun 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 dun. Dun. They're all just like have little champagne flutes bumping around looking at art or something.
It felt like they literally crashed like some company's party. who was throwing a casino night for
I actually
their
thought it was an
employees.
art gallery opening, and I was like, why are they here?
What's going on? Well, the women, they get it all. So they hop in the car. Kelly right away is like, never met a pole I couldn't slide down. They're enjoying themselves. Stripper shows up and throws Jessica, her legs in the air, slams her against the side of the bus, gives her the ride of her life, and she's like, Mark could never. She's right away like, wow, that stripper, did you notice how tall he is? He's very tall.
I also just noticed like how quickly the girls looked trashed. Like, I mean, I guess it wasn't probably actually that quickly, but when we're seeing in the timeline, I'm like, all of a sudden Amber is blacked out. Kelly also is pretty drunk. Everyone's pretty fucking drunk.
Everyone is so drunk, and all I'm thinking about is the next day is at least some of their weddings are the next day.
Oh my God. Well, Amber is so cute. She's so drunk, and she just is so in love with Barnett, and she just can't stop gushing about him. We don't quite see the same things with some of the other ladies, though.
Not so much. Definitely, we have a shocking moment. A truly shocking moment that rattled me. Bekah, it rattled me to the core. I did not see this one coming from a mile away.
Kelly.
Well, first...
Yeah.
Her friends immediately tell her and remind her of what a bad picker she has.
Yes.
They say
I was pretty surprised with that. And then they're basically like, bitch, you're shallow. You only care about what guys look like.
They literally said you fall in love with looks and then their personalities. And her other friend goes, usually you're just talking about abs or something. And that's how you've done it forever. And I am thrown off.
I'm also thrown off because then Kelly is basically like, yeah, Kenny's not as hot as like my normal dudes I go for. And I'm like, whoa, Kelly, girlfriend, what is your track record? Like, what kind of dudes have you been dating?
Kenny is a fine piece of man, okay? So I'm a little like
he's very handsome.
And Kelly was the person who, if you would have made me guess, I would have said, I bet Kenny is the hottest guy Kelly's been with, not because she couldn't get slamming men, but because she seems like the type of person who's like this beautiful woman who falls for personalities over looks. Like that's how she hits
Totally.
me. And that she probably would be with men who maybe weren't as gorgeous, but have sweet hearts and, and
I'm scrolling back to see if I can find any of her ex-boyfriends, by the way.
Well, and then I'm having all these recollections of the pods, Bekah, and how she was talking about how remember how she was bringing up her weight initially and how she was like, I lost a bunch of weight and I'm still not where I want to be and I'm super self-conscious and da-da-da. And
I completely forgot about that.
Yeah, and you and I were kind of like, girl, like you are just you are stunning, like come on, like we were like rooting Kelly on, and I'm wondering, oh my God, if Kelly is just choosing all these like men who are just stone cold foxes, maybe who have horrible personalities, and like her friends say she's a bad picker, probably making her feel self-conscious all the time, and that's maybe why she's was like super insecure before meeting Kenny and all this.
Yeah,
there was just all this starts rushing back, and I'm like, oh my God.
I just don't really get, like, I just don't really get her. I really don't understand her as a person.
I don't get her either. She's
her sister.
No, who I think is in love with Kenny. But she's a health and wellness coach too. And that threw me off because I'm thinking a health and wellness coach is probably going to go more for a heart than like the physical. It all freaked me out. And I totally get how you can't create, if you're not physically attracted to someone, you're not physically attracted to somebody.
No, but she was literally calling him less hot than the guys she normally goes for.
Yes.
That was the crazy thing.
And I just can't imagine falling in love with someone behind, the glass, the doors opening, seeing Kenny and being let down, because even if he wasn't my type, like, he's a handsome guy. And
yes.
Yeah, it just really threw me off. And she also said that that she's like, I love Kenny, but he gives me a best friend vibe.
Yeah.
So all this is weighing on my brain, and now I'm feeling like I'm thinking back to their conversations in bed where she won't have sex with him.
Yeah, and her friends, by the way, are also like, they're like, you haven't had sex with him? Like, what? They're surprised.
And when she was with Kenny and she expressed to him about that she wasn't having sex because of her, sometimes struggles climaxing, because it's she has to be emotionally connected to climax. And I never would want to call out a woman, and say, you'd be like, oh, that's not an issue that you have, whatever. But it was hard to then hear her having this conversation. Like, is this an
excuse? Maybe it's true, but maybe this isn't the only reason why you don't want to have sex with them.
I fully believe that it's true, but when you hear that, you're kind of like, whoa, well, then you're also then calling out and you're not being honest with him. You gotta have a best friend vibe from him. You're not attracted to him. And so I would imagine if you're not attracted to somebody, you probably don't want to sleep with them. And I'm like, we have a full Mark and Jessica situation, but Kelly's been the one with her like sweetness that we didn't see it the entire time.
Yeah. By the way, I'm going through her photos and like, I get that everyone's view of their body is subjective, but she like,
I know,
I don't know if you went through and like saw some of her like before and after photos, but there may be a little bit of like body dysmorphia going on, because this girl's always been pretty like, quote, in shape looking.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't. I just really don't get her. But anyway, meanwhile, we're seeing Mark and Kenny talking about not having sex. And I love how Mark's just like, oh, dude, you guys haven't had sex? Like, we're banging all the fucking time. And is like preaching to him about like this connection that him and Jessica have. And I guarantee Jessica probably lays there in missionary position and like counts in her head until it's over.
I just him telling Kenny like, dude, it happened a lot faster than I thought it was gonna happen. Like, she made it clear that she didn't want to go there, but then like, what can I say? Like, it was out of control. We couldn't help ourselves. And I'm like, Mark, I'm pretty sure everything has been forced on Jessica. So like, I think you just talked her into realizing that was just the next step. Okay.
I think she got really drunk is probably what happened. And, oh God.
I would love to know the timing of the first time they slept together, because my guess would be that it would be after her conversation with Barnett, where Barnett officially shut her down. Because we know that they hadn't had sex up until that point.
Fuck. Yeah, you're probably right. That's so cringe.
And then, of course, sweet Kenny is
Kenny's
just like
and
he's honest about it, and he's just like, yeah, we've done everything but no, man, that's great for you. Like, that's awesome. And he's just, and you know what? I know that we were talking, but there's something about Kenny and we're not quite sure and whatever. I have to say that I do have major respect for the fact that this guy is going into his wedding with Kelly, wanting to have sex with her, respecting the fact that she doesn't want to yet, and is still like walking down the aisle with her.
I know someone messaged me and said that he's like super and heavily involved at like a mega church, kind of in where he's from. So like maybe that was like, not saying people who work at churches have weird vibes, but maybe that was the vibe that we were getting. I don't know, but we see him kind of, he's a pretty stand-up guy.
He seems that way. I mean, and I had seen people, and we can get into it like reunion style, like make comments about negative things about something that Kenny did with Kelly, but from what I have seen and heard, I don't think that it's she broke his heart. Like, I don't know.
No, and he handled it as well as one could, I think.
Yeah.
Cameron has the most techie looking, secretly these dudes, it's so hilarious. And I'm like, both of these guys, I guarantee are like worth millions.
Oh, it looked like I was seeing a clip of like the cuter version of The Big Bang Theory when him and his friends were standing together. And they were so sweet and supportive of him when his friend off camera was just like, Cameron normally goes for like women who are very sophisticated and into the arts and classy, and Lauren seems like she fits that. And they were just so
I thought that, by the way, when he said that, he was going to say the opposite, and I was really confused.
I'm like, oh no, what is he about to say?
And then he's like, yes, Lauren sounds on par with this. I'm like, okay. Great.
Well, so then we have Cameron's sweet friends, but then on the other hand, we have Damien, who is having a conversation with a friend of him who seems, fine. But the way he now is talking, he's one of those guys who in front of Giannina says a certain thing, and then he gets with the boys and he's like, yeah, I fucking told her. I told her. When he says to his friend, he says, his friend's asking about it, and he says she was like pushing me away. She was fighting, just stupid shit. And I was like, fuck this, and backed off. Then the past 4 days, she's like made breakfast and was like, babe, what do you want for dinner? And I was like, fuck, I love this girl. And it was just not, no.
Like the way he probably talks about their sex life with his friends is just like, ugh.
Oh no. Oh, yeah, 100%.
Because again, like you said, the way he talks, you could just see him being like, and then I fucking pushed her on the couch, and I just like, oh my God, she was just screaming, and I just,
Well, and his friend said too, Damien hasn't been a one woman guy.
Ew. Ew.
Which is fine.
So gross
but like
to me.
Damien is just like, that's the thing. It's just, I don't like, and this is the thing why I have to respect in the end, as much as I was initially like not an Amber Barnett person, they are who they are with each other, and they're the same people when they're talking to other people. They're just the same people. Damien is the type of guy who's a certain way with Giannina, and then is talking to his friend and be like, this was just stupid shit, and I was like, fuck this. And it's like, that's not how you acted with Giannina. You guys had a conversation about butterflies for 5.5 hours.
Called out. Yeah, and like also just I knew it was a red flag when they were having that conversation about sex. And granted, look, anyone's gonna feel like a piece of shit and is going to feel some type of way about somebody saying on TV like a savage calling out their sex life. But when he said like, you say it's great every time, I'm like, oh my God, you're so stupid. Like, you are such a fucking simpleton if you think that's the way it fucking works. Ugh. Sorry. I don't like him.
No, I'm not. I am not a Damien fan. And again, it's weird. You start the first episode and I was like, he seems sweet and, just kind of a little awkward and goofy and whatever. And I thought I was going to hate Barnett. Turns out it's all sorts of flip-flopped all over the place by the end of this thing.
Speaking of being fans of someone, Bardia, meanwhile, is still questioning Mark relentlessly.
You guys, Bardia is back, and we get double doses of Bardia. We get Bardia episode 9, we get Bardia episode 10, okay? We live for Bardia. He's the worst. He's
the worst. I'm like, leave poor Mark alone. He's about to get like dumped in 2 days anyway, and you probably realize this, so.
Like, Bardia, just let the guy breathe, okay?
Which, by the way, yeah, I think he was, 29? I think someone confirmed it. How old he was.
Yeah, so they have a little bit of an age difference, but the way that Bardia made it sound is like I was expecting to hear that Bardia was 45 and Mark is, Think about this, Bekah. Bardia and Mark's age difference. Mark's 24, Bardia's 29. Bekah, you are 25, I'm 31. What if every single episode I was just like, well, Bekah, one day you'll get it. One day you'll understand.
Well, I love that about you. You've never once done that to me. And I actually have had older friends do that. But yeah. Well, when I was your age. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Can you imagine every episode? I'm going to start every episode out that. Be like, every time you say anything, I'll be like, well, when I was your age, I felt that way for sure. It's like, no, we have different lives and we have different experiences. And you know a shit ton more about certain things than I do and whatever. And it's like, listen, Bardia, you got it. And guess what? Fam? Bardia had to take a note from Mark because after I did my research.
Finally pull the trigger.
Turns out Bardia and his girl had been dating for a hot minute. And when I did the research, Bardia officially proposed to his girlfriend about 2 weeks after Love is Blind stopped filming, because Bardia's girlfriend was just like, Mark is willing to walk down the aisle 30 days after meeting Jessica, and you and I have been together for 3 years and you still haven't proposed. And guess what? They're still not married.
Tea.
They just had their engagement party recently after being engaged for like a year and a half. So Bardia hasn't even... I mean, the tea on Bardia, the scoop on Bards.
All right.
Anyways,
we gotta get back to the highlight of the night, and then after which we'll get into the glorious wedding ceremonies. But
yes, of course. The absolute highlight of the night, which happens, by the way, after a drag queen calls out Jessica for being a drunk mess, which was my most favorite part of the episode, and but Jessica. When the host of a drag show gets on stage and says, raise your hand and let us know if you need something, you do not yell at the host. There are
an appetizer and a drink, she said.
It's just like, excuse me, do not yell at the host of the drag show, okay? And
Can you believe? She's
the
so
host
that bitch.
It's like, oh, you need a drink and an appetizer? Just like, yes. He's like, can you say appetizer without slurring your words, bitch?
Savage.
I died. Well, Jessica...
She is such a heckler, by the way. She's such a drunk heckler. And I just realized it then. I was like, oh no.
A heckler, and also yelling out your orders at somebody, which probably not very nice to people in the service industry, perhaps, which is one of our number one no-nos.
Yes, red flag.
Red flags. Jessica's the most drunk I've ever seen her, which is saying something.
Did you have a bachelorette party?
Yes.
Was it a wild one?
The first day was mellow and the second day it got real weird. Yeah.
Because I was going to say, granted, if there's a time where you're going to get blacked out, it's going to be for the bachelorette party. So I'll give Jessica that.
Oh, no, I love a blackout bachelorette party. Don't get me wrong. I'm all about it. It was just insane. Lord knows, I'm very glad there was not a camera crew at my bachelorette party, because I don't even know what I was saying nor who I was saying it to.
Oh, we have footage actually quite a lot from one of my best friend's bachelorette parties. And it's something I still look on fondly and also simultaneously with disgust, because that shit gets insane.
I have only some photos, and someone sent one to me recently, and it is with me in the back of a police car, handcuffed, but it's not I didn't actually get arrested, but we flirted enough with the police officers
them to let you take a photo,
and then had a situation with like the batons and us leaning up against the car and them like spanking, but they were actual police officers.
Yes, this is what we are paying our men in uniform for. Yes, I'm with it.
Yes, and they were two handsome gentlemen.
Wait, that's amazing.
But I don't remember them. What they actually look like until I saw the photos.
Can you put that on your story? Is it too PG-13?
I think I probably could. I'll have to check with the people that are involved. I'll have to blur out everyone's faces probably.
Yes. I'm so down to see it. Anyway, so she's making out with Amber basically. And she says, like, I wouldn't go after your dude. Just a lie.
Oh, lying, grabbing her, baby girl. Like,
oh God.
Like, I know you two are perfect and I've been saying it. Like, and I love my fiance. Like,
oh,
and
she says he's the most wonderful person I've ever met in the world about Barnett to Amber. She goes, but the pods are over, you know, like it's over.
It is so uncomfortable. And the thing that's funny is that, you know, we all know Amber's drunk because we saw her interview.
Yes.
But the second Jess is hanging all over her, that girl seems to snap into not so drunkenness anymore because she's a little bit like,
oh no, she does this. She's petting Jessica's hair. She's petting Jessica's hair. And she goes, baby, if you ever tried to pursue my husband, I would destroy your life. Savage! I love it.
As she's caressing her.
As she's petting her head. I stan.
Oh, and I think that Amber in that moment was like, I bet she was like, she felt bad for Jessica. It was like, oh, honey, you're just a mess right now and you're all over me. And I'm letting you know, though, if you cross a line, I will destroy you.
Fantastic.
But this was the moment where you hear her say, too, that Amber specifically says, if there was still a thing between you, or if you still felt a certain way, that would have been so disrespectful and I would have beat your ass. And that's when we see later in the reunion that Amber's biggest issue wasn't the fact that Jessica still had feelings for Barnett. It's that she lied about having feelings for Barnett and then continued to, behind her back, try to stir up conversation
but in like the
with
same
him.
fucking room. Yeah. Which
and that is unbelievably
totally
disrespectful. Yeah, of course.
I totally understand. Yeah. So before we get into these glorious wedding days.
Yes, before we see all these people walk down the aisle, by the way, after all that drinking and having the wedding the next day that these women were needing to chug water like nobody's business.
Oh, yes.
Nobody's business. And speaking of chugging water, here's the deal. You know, when you're about to leave the house, I mean, I know it's a distant memory, but still. Right as you're about to leave the house for the day, you do a quick run through of everything you might need. For me, it's wallet, phone, keys, lipstick, and now, most importantly, my Hydrate Spark Smart Water Bottle.
I'm so proud of you.
I feel so much better now that I'm drinking water. Even if the morning gets hectic and I forget literally everything else, I will always grab my Hydrate Spark water bottle because I know how much better I feel when I'm on top of my hydration throughout the day. And honestly, even though I'm not leaving the house at the moment, now more than ever, I'm feeling the need for my Hydrate Spark water bottle at home because of the absolute need to hydrate right now to help your body, your immune system, all that.
Oh, yes, I totally agree. And I can always tell when I haven't had enough water throughout the day because I start to feel really foggy and lethargic and I get horrible headaches. But Hydrate Spark has reminders so you can stay way more on top of your water consumption and can definitely feel the positive effects. And because of the little hydration reminders you get from Hydrate Spark, there's no way you're going to forget to drink enough water.
The setup
they're going to be like, excuse me, B, you need to drink up.
Hydrate Spark is just tapping you on the shoulder and just like, you think you drank enough water already? You're wrong.
Hey, you thirsty bish. You got to drink up. Drink up.
But the setup is so simple. All you have to do is download the Hydrate Spark app on your phone, enter a few details like age, height, etc., and Hydrate Spark calculates and tracks optimal hydration tailored to you, not just to the general pub. It's specifically to you. Then throughout the day, you'll get little reminders when you need to drink more, either by a notification on your phone or, and my daughter loves this, the bottle will glow when it's time to take a drink. I have a coral bottle and it glows. It's so beautiful. It's the future. And I'm so grateful for these text reminders from my Hydrate Spark app right now because being at home all day, the days blend into one. And before you know it, without Hydrate Spark, I'm 48 hours in, barely any water intake. And thankfully, I have my texts and that glowing bottle to remind me to drink up.
So now's the best time to order a Hydrate Spark Smart Water Bottle for yourself. Go to hydratespark.com/chatty to get $10 off your first order. So hydrate spelled with an I, by the way. So that's spelled HIDRATE.com. Spark. I'm going to say that one more time. HIDRATE spark.com/chatty. Again, that's hydrate with an I, spark.com/chatty for $10 off your first order.
HIDRATE SPARK may be one of my 2020 picks. You know how like magazines have like your picks for 2020, your needs. I never thought one of them would be a mask, which it is now, but HIDRATE SPARK is definitely like it's on my top list for 2020. It's become a part of my lifestyle necessities.
Nice.
So broads, yeah, you know those things in life that you know as an adult you should be doing, but many of us aren't. Like, for example,
besides drinking more water.
Besides drinking more water, speaking of. Another one of those is taking vitamins to support optimal health. I know vitamins and supplements are so beneficial for so many reasons, but when I would go into a vitamin store, I just felt super overwhelmed and underinformed. Like, literally, I didn't even know where to start at all. Then I was introduced to Care of, and let me tell you, they are life-changing.
Jess, you are like a health goddess now. Look at you, queen.
Oh my God. You know what?
Shining.
Honestly, I grant. Most of it has to. I grant it to you. Most of it has to do with you. So blessings. Speaking of our age difference, 25 to 31. Guess what? This 25-year-old just made me a heck of a lot healthier over the past year and a half.
I'm so touched. Well, Jess and I absolutely love Care of. If you're not familiar with them, I'm shocked. They're a wellness brand that makes reaching and maintaining your health goals unbelievably simple because they make plans that are customized to you. So you start off by going on their website. You take their online quiz, which helps them get to know you and your goals better. So their questions like, do you work out? Do you have specific dietary restrictions? Do you have a specific concern you'd like to address? And we're not talking like, do you want to take vitamin C or not? These questions really get into all health concerns, brain function, gut health, hair and nail growth. I was really pleasantly surprised at the amount of detail in the quiz. And it's still simple for somebody who doesn't know anything about like vitamins or supplements. So for me, I'm focused on prenatal health right now, obviously. And they had everything I could think of and more. And everything's shipped right to the front door in these cute little daily packs. So I take them with me wherever I go. It's so easy. Also, their little packs are compostable and they have instructions on their website on how to do that.
Yes, and after you finish the quiz, Care of recommends a variety of products based on your answers, everything from daily supplements to protein powders and more. And the best part, the transparency. You can click through each product and get a very detailed description of every ingredient, where it comes from, and the science behind using it, so you know exactly what you're taking and why you're taking it.
If you've ever found yourself confused or overwhelmed in a vitamin store, 1, you're not alone, but 2, you should give Care of a try. They make staying on top of your health really easy and convenient. And right now you can get 50% off your first Care of order. You just have to go to takecareof.com and enter code chatty50. That's take care of, promo code chatty50 for 50% off your first order.
Dun,
okay, so
dun, 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 dun,
Giannina's wedding day.
Well, immediately her friends seem super supportive because Giannina, while she's getting ready, says, I did show him my bitchy side like hardcore, and her friends like, I don't think you can hide that, so...
Shade.
The shade.
I like the venue seems cute at first until we get to the fucking wedding ceremony. But
I know all these actual wedding ceremonies, the especially a few of them, the carpeting, it's just
but the venue seems cute otherwise.
I know.
Like they have a little parlor set up. Their fight montage was cracking me up as like she's getting ready and they're talking with her friends. But like, okay, so I wanted to ask you this too about your wedding day though, because at one point her friends are asking her like, do you feel ready? And she says like, no one really feels ready. And I was like, is that true?
I mean, I definitely felt like it's such a weird thing, B, because like you said, there's so many people who stay with their significant other for forever, or who aren't allowed to get married, or like, you know, it's literally, there's so many people who are with someone long term, and the wedding is just like a weird specific thing that's tradition, and I get it, and it's fun and wonderful, but it's literally like if I were to ask you like, are you ready to commit to Gray right now for the rest of your life, you'd be like, well, I'm hoping to be with him for forever, but I don't know. So I think maybe I felt
actually, I guess it's like when someone says, "Are you ready to have a kid?" It's like, does anyone really feel ready?
Yeah.
I guess actually it is the same thing. Okay, then I agree with that statement.
It was kind of like, well, with Evan, it was like, yeah, I'm planning on being with him for the rest of my life, and I'd like to be with him for the rest of my life. Do I know for sure if that's going to happen? No. So this is all kind of weird, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think just people make way more of it again when there's the pressure of all these eyes on you, and everyone's just like, well, now we've witnessed your love and commitment, so divorce is going to be trickier.
It's gonna be real awkward. Well, I just like it was kind of going back and forth between Giannina and Damien talking, and they both keep saying shit like they've experienced 5 years in 3 weeks, and I was like, shut up. This is not.
It's not true.
It's not true.
It's not true. I totally get that you're experiencing something that is crazy and a whirlwind. Expedited. No one has, like, there are very few people in the entire world who have had the same experience that you are having right now. And so there's something bonding and special about that for sure. But like, it's not 5 years in a month. And I'm pretty sure maybe a couple like Cameron and Lauren wouldn't say that because they're not like that. They'd probably be like, it's crazy how fast we've fallen in love and feel intimate and like we know each other. But I don't think that they would put their relationship toe to toe with a couple who's literally been together for 5 years.
Well, it's also like, I just personally felt salty because I was like, as someone who's like gotten pregnant with someone at 3 months, and like the actual like external life shit that you can go through with someone in a short amount of time, like, yeah, you guys have been on a TV show and that's weird and crazy, but like, shut up.
I know. It's just like,
shut up.
Just go. We're all burnt of this with this drama, that's for sure. Well, we definitely see where G gets her drama. And in fact, I am very confident now that G is the low-key one compared to her mother.
Oh, yeah. I mean, her mom did say something interesting. She said, like, don't let this be a game to you, Giannina. And I was like, oh, interesting.
I know. I'm just like, tea? Did mom just spill some tea for us? I don't want to ever call out wrong reasons for someone. But I would say of all the people on the cast that made it to the finale, the one who I would be the least surprised if they were like, oh, she was in it to get followers, would be Giannina. And
yeah. And like,
again, I have no problem with that. You know that I love a Bachelor contestant who goes on to get followers. But she just seems like they keep talking about like, and that's the thing with her and Damien, where it's always about the social media. So like, I wonder how much of an Instagram queen she was, you know?
Yes. And like,
I don't know though.
I know.
I think clearly she was in love with Damien. They're still together.
Well, that's what I sort of confused me about it, because I was like, well, or I don't know.
But the thing is, maybe she went on the show initially, maybe to get a little bit of clout to be on television, and then again, she happened to fall in love with someone.
Well, I'm interested in what the timeline is of when they got back together, and I'm sure some of our broad listeners know through like listening to other podcasts. Because I'm also like, did they get together like shortly before the show aired?
Interesting.
Did they get together shortly after the wedding?
Well,
like,
I know that she said in the reunion that they don't live together.
Like,
so,
we got no fucking insight on how.
No, it made me crazy. You know what it felt like? It felt like rewatching this last Bachelor finale with the Peter and Maddie situation, where I'm like, can we get any information with anything that's going on right now?
Can you just tell us? Yes, just tell us what is going on.
None of us understand. None of us. We all want to know. We're all curious. Well, Damien's clearly nervous. He doesn't know what he's going to do and, you know, what decision he's going to make. And G sends Damien a gift this time with a poem in it. And this is where we discovered that she doesn't understand time or sequence, because the poem says, the beginning was rough, the middle was sweet, the other half was a lot. And I was like, I guess if you break it up into quarters, that works. But beginning, middle, the other half of the end? I don't know. And then I just was noticing that the poem was very ominous. Weird. It was so ominous.
The poem was weird.
It wasn't
I didn't get it.
It wasn't like loving. It was very much, the end was like, but what do you really want? Only you can guess. It was just like, what? Like, it wasn't this poem that was just like, I love you. I even if we can't spend the rest of our lives together, like, you know, you will always be my sunshine, blah, blah, blah. It was literally like she was sending him a threatening poem.
And he's just like, that's so G.
That's so G. Well,
he's just like smiling.
Well, she did say something interesting before she walked down the aisle. She said that she's overwhelmed because she's afraid of failure, which I feel like was an interesting little snippet from her, because I don't feel like we see maybe that side of G often. But she has talked about the fact that she's a business owner, you know, she's always like, I can provide for myself financially. We know she provides for a lot of her family members. So I wonder, because she's so emotional, I'm like, oh, is there this kind of side of G that maybe we don't see a lot, who's this hyper perfectionist who's, you know, afraid of failing?
I do imagine it probably has a lot to do with her parents' failed marriage as well.
It's very true. It's very true.
That's kind of what I was thinking, is it's like, this fear of failure probably has to do with a marriage that may have crashed and burned, and she may have seen that gone down. I don't remember if she said when they got divorced.
Yeah, I don't think she said. Or she probably did, but we don't remember. Or I don't remember.
Yeah.
Well, the wedding starts, and the music, it sounds like the score from End of the World apocalyptic movie.
The drums were beating at 1 billion decibels.
It was unbelievably stressful. It wasn't even music that was like adding tension, like, ooh, we don't know what's gonna happen. It was like violent music.
The officiant is in this, like, she looks a little bit more like she's at a funeral. She's in this officiant outfit. I'm like, who is she? Like, the other people seem like they may have relationships to the couple. Who is this woman? She just seemed also very ominous.
Everything was so ominous. Also,
and he's just being a blubbering fool.
Oh, and by the way, speaking of officiants, the fact that every officiant had to say, "Is love truly blind?" in the vows, and then my most favorite part was, will you say yes or will you walk away forever? I'm like, what about the option of like they just date?
I mean, this is the other thing. If you're actually getting married, fuck that wedding. Yes, and fuck that like vow exchange shit that they're putting them through. What?
It was ridiculous. It's just like, I mean, I walk away forever. Those are my two options. Either I say yes now or I murder, or you murder the other one on the stage.
They also say the tagline is love blind at their fucking wedding.
Honestly, you know what I wish? I wish Vanessa would have been the officiant for every single wedding.
I need that in writing in the petition, that if she is not off from the show, I want her to be the officiant of every wedding.
There can only be those options.
For real though, why didn't they? Actually, that would have been really good. I'm actually really surprised they didn't have them officiate, like, straight up. They should
have. They really should have. Well, yeah, you know, the officiant asked for G's vows, and the entire world is like, no, let's not give this girl a microphone. This speech is about to get really dramatic.
Okay. I put in my notes as I was watching, they're trying to play us like we don't know what they're going to say to each other. Because I just thought they were going to get married.
Oh. I was convinced that they were going to get married. I was shocked that this didn't happen. Especially... Go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just saying, after G says yes initially, not only does she say yes, that Love is Blind camera, like this production is so brutal that after every person says yes, they have them continue their vows. It's not just a yes. They just let them keep talking and then the other person ends up saying no. And G is just like, I promise to be your rock when you least want it because that's when you need it the most. I'll plant kisses that'll grow trust and confidence within you. This is all after she says yes. And then Damien's just like, no. Damien, I do not.
Not only does he say no, he trashes her on stage.
I would be livid.
I would throw myself out the window. If someone did this to me, put me on fucking blast in front of my friends and family at our goddamn wedding.
Not only have you rejected me publicly, you are now going to let everyone know that you're rejecting me publicly for my faults alone. My faults alone.
You know what? No, and here are the reasons.
I do love you. Since day one, I've loved you and given you everything and stayed consistent, and you have not. I was just like, Damien, could I like you less? Oh, wait. Oh, and then there's this. How could you do that
I can't
to someone?
handle the ups and downs. And he straight up says, like, and you're just not ready.
Like, excusez-moi? You're going to reject me because I'm not ready? What about you're not ready to handle my shit, okay? This is on you, buddy, okay? Accept responsibility.
I just said yes.
Accept responsibility for your no, all right? Oh my God, that was a little bit of a what's the word? A pattern that we saw happen a couple times in this, where not only did people reject, they really stuck that dagger in. It's like, just say no. It's already bad enough.
Then we are followed by the most dramatic camera chase of all time since Fence Jump. She also has a Hannah Alabama slip as she's running away.
Yes.
It was like Bachelor references left and right.
Yes. I know. I'm sure she's a huge fan of The Bachelorette. Maybe she was really, really trying to push that narrative. But also she's got some speed on her. That girl was booking it. And
her mother is right behind her for like 12 blocks.
With the highest stilettos, holding her dress up, just like trying to chase her. Gee, just Giannina's just out.
I gotta say, like, as a parent, I just felt one for all the parents just in general, because how nerve-wracking, and you see your child and you're already like, what are they getting themselves into? And then you're like, oh my God, are they about to get dumped in front of all of us right now? But then it's like, oh my God, I wonder how her fucking parents feel about him now.
How can they even... No. Absolutely not. Not only are you going to reject my daughter... And then you're going to trash her publicly?
Unless her parents are low-key like my parents, and they're just like, well, he didn't say anything untrue. Like, she wasn't ready to get married.
You can't fault him.
She does bring a lot of ups and downs to the table. And, you know, you probably made a good decision, Dame.
You know what? He has some points. Well, her mom... G is weeping off the side of a building, and then her mom's like, hold my drink, because... She shows up and
I didn't know who was crying. Was it her mother?
Her mom is wailing.
Unbelievable.
And G's having to console her mother in this situation. And her mother is saying, ideally, you would have said no and he would have said yes, not the reverse. This hurts more. And I'm like,
so
thanks,
I
Mom.
saw the subtitles and I thought that it was Giannina. I mean, I thought it was her mom, but I was like, there must be some mistake. This must be Giannina.
No. Not only did she have Dame really making it worse for her, but her mom comes in and shoves the dagger in even more, saying like, this couldn't be worse. You said yes and he said no. It would have been ideal if you would have said no and he would have said yes.
Believable.
And then she said, when he said no, I almost died. And she's just wailing. And G's literally holding her mom and is just like, I'm okay, Mom. I'm okay. Like, and then you see Giannina get, she calms down for a moment.
Okay. Well,
and gets angry.
That was crazy. So then we see him in the empty wedding venue room and
crouched.
Yeah. And wait, that's when they're having the one-on-one conversation, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I couldn't stop feeling like I was watching a bad play.
Yes. It's like when our kids are going to be in junior high and we have to go to their school plays and the acting is atrocious, but like you still love them, so you watch it. That's what we were watching.
You're like, we're going to get you acting lessons, sweetie. Don't worry. You won't end up like them. Okay. Embarrassing.
We're going to avoid this at all costs, okay? I mean, it was wild. It was a typical Giannina Damian exchange, like what's even being said. At some point she's just like, please sit down. Let's talk. Grabs him a chair, like throws it at him. And I'm like, oh, this girl has watched every single rom-com 1,000 times over. And she is going to make sure that her moment lives on in history forever as like the fuck you, I'm a powerful person, you can't hurt me moment. Like, she's making sure her dramatic ending is in all of history for all of eternity. She won't miss that opportunity.
Well, I got really fucking pissed off then when they're in their conversation, their shit show of a conversation. She gets up to leave and he goes, this is you running. And I'm like, yeah, I've wondered fucking why, Damien. Look at what you just did to her. Humiliation of the century. Mind? And you have the audacity to be like, this is you running again. It's like, yeah, of course.
What else am I supposed to do? You want to hug it out? Do you
want me to tell you that you did like the best thing? I don't get it.
Clearly, Damien wanted them to continue dating after this, and he wanted to stay with her. And the thing is, Damien could have manufactured that pretty soon, I think, after the situation, if he would have said, I do not, and then be like, gee, I'm so devastated, but I just don't know if I'm ready, if we're ready, and left it at that. But when you then come for the person that you have rejected publicly, they're gonna run. They're gonna run. And rightly so. It was out of control. And then she's just like, get out of my face.
Yeah.
And then,
I'm not in your face.
And then, of course, she starts tearing the bottom of her dress, which, by the way, is impressive because that fabric looked decently tough. And I'm like, what is happening right now? Why is she tearing the bottom of her dress? And she crafts a string of cloth and says, take your bow back, and like tries to tie it around his wrist.
Could not believe that part. I didn't.
Unreal.
I actually had to see it replayed at the reunion to understand what she said, like, here's your bow back. And I was like,
yes.
Oh.
She's doing a callback to the proposal.
Okay.
Well, he is basically like, he's not giving up on their love story. He refuses, blah, blah, blah. And then later on at the very end of the episode, we have a moment where we see Giannina and it's her profile, and the light is hitting her profile, gleaming, and she says, I am mourning, but from the ashes rises the phoenix. Profile shot.
Unbelievable. Thank God they didn't get married is all I have to say, though. Like, that just would not, I don't think that
No.
would have been good.
No, I don't think that would have been a good call again, even though they are together, but who knows how long.
Yeah, but they're not engaged, so,
yeah,
you know.
They're dating. They're not even living together, so. Anyways.
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Giannina and Damien, for that insane ride that you took us on. Appreciate you both.
So, who's next?
Do you want to do Amber and Barnett?
Yeah. So the venue's now cursed, though. Who the fuck wants to go have a wedding at the same place where someone just got, like, well, I guess not left at the altar. I guess she left him at the altar. But what?
But wailing and talking about the ash from the ashes, the phoenix will rise. Like,
I mean, now
like
the next day they have the audacity to be like, let's set this up. Keep those lights up there. That looks pretty good. And just rearrange the chairs a little bit.
They're like, we just had a Hunger Games type situation that just happened here, but why don't you bring in Amber and Barnett?
The wedding venue, though, like, it was so bright. Like, they just clearly have camera lights everywhere.
Yes, there's no mood lighting, that's for sure.
And look, like, I get it. Not everyone has the craziest wedding budget. I'm not going to, like, trash anyone's wedding venue, but I just, I guess I shouldn't say I expected it. Just, Love is Blind does not do anyone any unnecessary favors when it comes to setups.
Well, my thing is, it's like I've been to many, especially a lot of my friends got married really young and there was zero money, and we'd have a lot of people who would have backyard weddings with a couple people, and it was so wonderful. And like, it was just, they would do just a cute little picnic setup and twinkly lights, and that was all you needed. And it was warm and romantic and
simple, and
this just, again, like you said, the lighting, and then the kind of like a bigger room and barely any people. It made it feel like echoey and weird.
I was also noticing that all the decor was only on one side of the room, presumably so they can get camera shots.
Probably.
But like, they had pillars that were decorated, but they were only on one side of the aisle.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was just weird.
They had an instrumentalist in every wedding, but they would put them in a weird little hutch. There'd be like a little trellis in the corner, and they'd stick either like, the cellist or the flute player or whatever just in the corner, and they were just standing there in their little cabinet.
Well, this wedding, it's ominously raining before.
Yes.
Apparently Barnett's getting cold feet and won't pick up the phone. Like,
which, by the way, that has to be production.
That's what I was about to say.
It had to be production. I mean, the fact that she was trying to call him and he just wouldn't answer, and then we see him and he's like, "Yeah, I'm nervous," and he doesn't even reference the fact that, like, that she's been trying to call and he won't answer. They probably just took his phone away because they didn't want it's anyone to go into the wedding where the viewer was like, "Oh, we're confident that this is going to happen."
Right.
We have to be on our, we have to be on the edge of our seat the whole time. So poor Amber is having to suffer through that. What a nightmare.
That's the thing. I was like, talk about sucking the fun out of this makeup sesh.
Oh my God.
And I think he was just anxious. I don't think he was having doubts, which is like two different things.
No, I agree. And I think he probably had that feeling. Again, like, I want to be with her, but like, do I want to get married on TV after 30 days? I don't know.
Yeah.
But still wanting to be with her for sure.
Well,
she looks,
she looks so pretty.
Unbelievable. Everyone looked beautiful, but she was like, oh my God.
There was a couple dresses I liked. I like Amber's on her, for her a lot. And I also really liked Lauren's as well.
Oh, yeah.
They were kind of my two favorite looks.
The two of them, it was just like, they were breathtaking. It was,
and thank God, because they're the two that actually got married.
I know, right? I mean, like,
well, that's the thing. I'm like, do they get another wedding? Like, would you want your wedding to?
Oh, I would for sure have another wedding. There's no way.
I mean, it does look like they were able to have like 4 friends there, so I'm sure they will redo it. But
like, there's fluorescent lighting and like cameras in your face, and like, there's probably
and
not like
the
music.
officiant saying, "Are you going to walk away forever?" is Love Blind.
I would redo the wedding for sure. I would. You know what I would do? I would have a private ceremony. So just me, my person, and an officiant marrying us, like overlooking the water, and then go back to a reception with family and friends. Yeah, just a big party.
I like that. You could do like, if I were them, I would have done like a vow renewal on the 1 year or something. But then again, I guess they were still in secret.
That's true.
So maybe not.
Maybe they can now. Who knows? Well,
no.
I was surprised we didn't see any pushback from Barnett's family in this sequence at all. Like, you know, his mom. I know,
and they looked.
Yeah, they looked, you know, his dad had a moment when he was standing up there where he kind of like laughed and rolled his eyes. So I wasn't quite sure where his dad was at, but his mom was like, I love you. Like, you know, there wasn't any pushback.
No, his parents didn't seem unhappy at all in the audience. The only one, of course, was his brother. But that's no surprise. His brother is jealous as fuck. But what was, I felt like there was like a weird anti-pep talk by her mom before she walked down the aisle.
It was the weirdest thing ever because I initially, when it was happening, I was like, this is the sweetest thing ever. And then it turned because her mom started by saying, my little girl, all grown up, remember, something worth having is something worth fighting for, and like squeezed her hand. And I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. And then they cut away for a second and then they cut back. And the mom's like, well, you're not supposed to have to fight for it all the time. And I've told you that too. And they start like going at each other. And Amber's like, I know, woman. And they're like snapping at each other.
Yeah, that was weird.
It was super weird. I mean, I feel for her mom because, you know, she was saying it's like it's her baby. That's who she has. Yeah. And, you know, she's worried about her. And it was just all sorts of emotional. But, I mean, Barnett is dripping sweat. He's nervous. But again, I would feel like someone like Barnett is one of those people who's not comfortable being in a tuxedo standing in front of a bunch of people just in general.
Yes.
Yeah.
I concur. Their walk down the aisle had like Western gun showdown music.
What's with the scores? I don't know.
Because fucking who actually got, I think it was Kelly and Kenny that actually got cute music as they were walking. It was all over the place. There was not even any consistency.
No, there wasn't like this is going to go poorly, so we're going to really like go heavy on the ominous music. It's just like Kelly and Kenny had really pretty walk down the aisle music. It didn't make any sense. Maybe they're like, oh, you know, Amber and Barnett, that wild couple, let's give them showdown like saloon music.
I don't know, but when you see them up there, they're looking at each other and it's just obvious that obviously she adores him, but he's looking at her like he just really loves her too. They love each other.
They love each other
work
so much, and he seemed so nervous. And then the second that she said, she's smiling at him and she says, he drives me crazy, but I can't help being so in love with him. You literally see everyone in the room smiling, from like his family to Amber's family. Everyone just kind of like breathes a collective sigh together. And then that's when you see him loosen up. And I didn't know if he would say yes though, just because the actual marriage piece for a second.
True.
And then when he said, oh, I do 100%, it was just like,
well, I wanted to believe so badly that he was going to say yes. I was very nervous that could possibly not happen.
Well, they're so cute. And when I was looking at their Instagram, speaking of his parents, by the way, and he was so worried about his mom and dad's approval of Amber, I saw posts from them that I guess like a year ago, Amber Barnett and his parents went on a trip to Europe together and have all these cute couple photos together in Italy. And like she's like in the photos with like his dad in the background and they're being silly, and so it looks like the family loves her and they're adorable together, and it just made my heart so happy and huge. I celebrate them.
Yep, me too. And I think that they have a lifetime of happiness ahead of them. Not much else to say about their wedding. They go out and do their cute little reception thing. All right, Kelly and Kenny.
Kelly and Kenny.
Kelly and Kenny.
So, I mean, from the get-go, we know we know that this isn't going to work. Like, she is not happy at all. There's a difference, and that's the thing. There's a difference between seeing the nerves of some of the other people versus she just didn't seem happy at all.
I knew it was a very bad a very bad sign when she was comparing him to her ex, who she was infatuated with. And she's still weighing her options when she's getting her makeup done with her sister.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, this isn't good.
And you just kind of go like, well, infatuation isn't necessarily love, and there needs to definitely be digging deeper into, you know, what that actually means for you and all that stuff. Yeah, and she says, I don't know if I'm 100% in love with Kenny. So that's pretty intense.
That's bad. On your wedding morning.
That's not a great sign on your wedding day. And to that, I would say no. You know, when you're talking about having the getaway car, because you're like, I don't know if I can say yes or not because of all the pressure, versus like, I don't know if I'm fully
I don't know
in
if I
love with
love
him.
them.
Yeah, that's not a great sign. Well, her and her sister is just a literal angel, like supporting her, Kelly, in every endeavor.
Yeah.
But I am 100% convinced that she is in love with Kenny.
I think they should have ended up together.
She is just like, he is so wonderful and he's better than anyone you've ever been with, but I want what's best for you. And remember when you're walking down the aisle, like what kind of incredible man you have at the other end, and and like, you know, it is that like Little Women type love story where like the sister is like looking at him from afar and is like, I'm so in love with him, but I would never cross that line because I have too much love for my sister.
Except in Little Women, fucking Amy gets with him. Spoiler.
Spoiler. Jeez. Well,
yeah.
Kenny, we see Kenny and his mom.
His mom sits down and she goes, "What is this, your little journal?"
Your little journal. And then she said, the greatest advice I can give for you is to ask God to see your spouse through his eyes.
I can spot a sharp Christian mama from a mile away.
You knew that. You knew that in
mom.
Last episode. You were like, there's something about her that, like, I don't know, like she seems nice, but she's not super warm. And I'm like, yeah, no, I know that, Mom. You were right. You get that. She loves her kid, but she loves God more.
Yes. Yes, exactly.
But they're so sweet. And she's like, you know, wants Kelly to be part of the family, and they're super supportive of their kid. And you know, but then on contrast, you see Kelly and her mom, and I love her mom so much.
Oh my God.
I'm obsessed with her mom.
Okay, I have more to say because of the ceremony, but
yeah, I mean, but basically you're seeing a mom and daughter on the wedding day, and the mom seems more excited than the daughter. And again, another bad
very
sign.
obvious Kelly was gonna say no. Like that was pretty freaking obvious. And this was the first time that they didn't, like I said, they didn't play the crazy fucking death march music as they walked down the aisle.
Right. And Kenny had that moment on stage where he sees her family and he's like, sorry, I don't know if this is appropriate, but I want to say hi.
I know. They had the most normal seeming wedding. They had like,
I know,
what is probably Kenny's like youth pastor friend being the officiant.
Yep.
It all felt much more normal.
It felt very like, oh, this feels like an actual wedding. And same thing with their families. They're both families met together for the first time. There wasn't any drama. And yet here we are. You know what I mean? Here we are.
Her mom's like 4 glasses of champagne deep. Love her. Love her.
Love her so much. Kelly and Kenny and his mom have that sweet moment before he walks down the aisle with her and her father. And it was so, everything was really sweet.
Kelly's mouth movements as the minister is talking. Did you notice this?
Oh, what was she couldn't. Here's the thing. The second she got on stage with Kenny, I'm convinced Kenny knew she was going to say no.
Yeah. Because
she saw his facial expression change and she wouldn't even look at him. She was doing that movement with her mouth. It was so uncomfortable.
It was bad.
It was real bad. And she's crying and she says that he's fabulous, which is another bad sign because I feel like when you're describing your future husband, the first term probably wouldn't be like, he's just a fabulous guy all around.
The moms even looking at each other during it. They're like, oh, yikes.
Oh, when Kenny says, when Kelly says, I love you, but I won't and I don't, her mom's face is literally like, oh God, what the fuck? Like, what is happening? And then Kelly says, I can't marry you. And I hope that you appreciate that and respect that decision of mine. And her mom legit, that's when she looks at Kenny's parents and goes like, yikes, like, sorry. My daughter just rejected your son, and then is like, well, I hope you appreciate and respect my decision. And it was like, what's happening right now?
Well, so she goes off the stage and he gives his very diplomatic speech.
Yeah.
And her mom goes, God, I love this guy.
I know. Her mom is so bummed out. Her mom's like, we were about to have a son-in-law that I love. And now look at how he's handling this with so much respect and talking about how he'll still cherish this memory and be grateful for it for forever. You know, she's talking with her sister. But then we have the moment where the producer is like cornering Kenny. And then we see Kenny's true emotions coming out. And Kenny is pissed.
And he's trying to kind of hold it together.
Yeah, and he's just like irritated.
Well, he's pissed at the producer.
Yeah.
Because fucking Jeremy going, would you marry her in the future?
He's just
and
like,
Kenny's like,
bro?
don't fucking ask me that. And then the producer, after all of him being like, stop it, Jeremy. And Jeremy goes, so you don't know if you'd marry her?
They're literally you can tell by the way that Kenny is forced and trapped to be like having to stay in this room, because then he sits and he's smirking at the producers like you're cornering me right now with the camera and lights, and he physically turns the chair around to them, and so you just see the back of his head, and it's like, you're gonna do this right now? Okay, so here's the tea about them. Kelly went on her Instagram after this whole thing went down, posted a photo of them together, didn't tag him, by the way, in the photo, but posted a photo of them together and basically said the experience was great, blah, 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 or like, you know, life-changing, whatever. And we, in all caps, decided that we would not say, I do. And that's what she's holding to, is that they had both agreed that they were not going to say I do to each other. Now, Kenny did not seem to me like someone who was going to say that. And I have to now rewatch it because I felt like she said, I was looking at the comments and someone was like, he did say I do. And she's like, rewatch it. And I think what happened is we saw his speech, his like passionate love speech to her, but we didn't, I think they asked her first and she said no. But she claims that he was not going to say I do. Which
doesn't seem to be the case.
I don't know if I buy, if I'm just being honest, because when you see them at the reunion later, he won't even look at her. He is not a fan.
Yeah.
And I heard someone mention too that like apparently he quote unquote ghosted her after the show and how fucking rude of him and blah, blah, blah. But I'm just like, well, she said no. And then he probably saw like,
what do you expect?
I mean, I don't know. Obviously, I don't know what was going on if he was then like, but it just, to me,
I don't believe that he wasn't. I don't know.
I don't know if I believe it either. I don't know. It didn't seem that way, but she's really holding to that. And she says that like they were both, it was a mutual decision, but I would maybe buy that, or I would be more like that would be more of a thought to me if you would have seen them at the reunion and it would have been like even Mark and Jessica, like, hey, we're good with each other, like we respect each other, we're grateful for the process, you know, but you know, we just weren't the right fit, blah blah blah. But he literally would not look at her, and she was staring at him and was trying to be like, yeah, and it was a great experience, and he wouldn't.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know what's the background, if like now all of a sudden she's claiming that he was going to say no as well. And he's like, that's not true. So now he doesn't like her because it's like, why are you, I don't know. There's a lot of, again, stuff that I it's all very sus and weird.
Very,
very sus, very weird.
I don't know. And he hasn't spoken out about that at all.
I need to dive in deeper.
Well, let's get into the other very happy story.
Yeah, before we get into the very happy story, listen, broads, I am a big fan of therapy. It's hands down one of the best investments I make into myself, but I find it so crazy that when people get busy or life gets stressful, mental health investments are the first thing people tend to drop. Like, life is stressful and therapy can only help you. But here's the thing. I do get it because sometimes that commitment seems like a lot. You can't find a therapist that's taking new clients or accepting your insurance. Money, you literally cannot leave the house. There's no shortage of obstacles.
Yeah, so that's why we're so excited to tell you about Talkspace. It's the most convenient and affordable way to put your mental health first. Talkspace starts by matching you with one of their licensed therapists, and then you're ready to begin therapy that exact same day. Plus, everything happens within Talkspace's secure platform on your schedule via text, audio, video, or picture messages. I'm telling you, this couldn't be easier. And something that I've dealt with therapists in the past is sometimes they're very popular and their schedule is booked, and they're like, okay, we can get you in at Tuesday at 7:30 a.m. And you're like, that's not gonna work well for me, you know?
We can get you in May 15th, 2022. How does that work?
Exactly. So this is the same. I mean, you can get help literally the same day.
Yeah. Well, if you think you don't need therapy because maybe you have this idea that it's only for certain people or certain sensitive people, I will gently tell you that that's just not the case. If therapy really is a life-altering thing in all the best ways. It's a fantastic tool for developing coping skills, getting accountability to achieve your goals, dealing with stress, which is something I'm sure we could all use a little help with under the current circumstances. And I think now more than ever, it is the right time to invest in your mental health and well-being, because with all these uncertainties in the world, what you do know is that you have you and you need to take care of you.
The bottom line is that life can be really hard, and Talkspace wants to give you more of the support that you need at a price that we all can hopefully afford. And as a listener of Chatty Broads, you can get $100 off your first month on Talkspace. And to match with your perfect therapist, all you have to do is go to Talkspace.com, or you can download the app. And make sure to use the code Chatty, and you're going to get $100 off your first month, like I said. And you can also show your support for the show. So that's Talkspace.com. Use code Chatty.
I've been using Talkspace since all this. Got my remote therapist, and it is working.
Nice.
It is working wonders. I will say that. It's been very, very beneficial in the current.
Do you know if they do couples therapy in Talkspace?
I believe so.
I've got to check that out.
I believe so. Oh, that's a good.
Because I think a lot of us could use that right now.
I'm going to drag Evan into that for sure. It's a requirement. Speaking of couples counseling, let's talk about Jessica and Mark.
Jessica and Mark?
Yeah.
Oh, shit. We haven't talked about... Oh, God. Damn. Okay. When I was talking about the happy couple, I was genuinely talking about Lauren and Cameron. Oh, God, I forgot we have two couples. Another cursed wedding at this venue. Are they going to be able to get anyone to book here again?
But this was a different venue, and it was very fancy. What? Oh, did you not notice? Oh, the venue that they pulled up to for Mark and Jessica, and I thought it was funny. It was like it looked like a hotel, and it was like I think it had to have been a hotel. It was very, very elaborate.
I did notice when she walked out with the dangling thingies how crazy that was. Okay.
Yeah. That was more Jessica's style versus some of the other styles. Well, Jessica immediately gets out of the car and quotes, "It takes two," right off the bat. She said, "A few weeks ago, I was looking for that can't eat, can't sleep, over the fence World Series kind of stuff." I'm like, so we're quoting kids' movies as a way to determine love, though don't get me wrong, love the movie. She claims to have it with Mark, and I'm like, no, you do not have a Kirstie Alley, Steve Guttenberg type of love. I can tell you that right now.
He's just such a simple guy. He's just a simple dude.
He loves her. He is very unaware of everything that's going on. Though I will say I was very thrown off because all of a sudden Jessica is so calm And she seems like Bekah, I was tripping out the entire episode or the entire sequence because I was like, oh God, is she going to say yes? And then is all of a sudden, 3 days going to pass and then she's going to be like, no, I need an annulment. Like, I was convinced at a certain point that she was actually going to go through with it. And I'm like, oh, you will be the most hated person in America if you go through with this wedding. So I am very glad that ultimately she ended up saying no before they said I do. That's for sure.
Where's her family?
I don't know. And I don't know. Like, oh no, she said she has family. I think she mentioned that she has family elsewhere, but she didn't have family in Atlanta.
Hold on, I'm Googling right now. Why weren't they at the wedding?
Because it made me feel really sad when she walked down by herself.
Right?
It made me feel really, really sad.
That's why I just brought that up because I was like, damn it. Of course, now my internet is being all slow. I thought that was really, really sad.
Yeah. Well,
I get that everyone's in a different place, but there's something just about her whole experience that was just really bumming me out.
Her experience made me feel really lonely.
Yes.
And
because her friends don't really seem like that great of friends. I don't know. I just don't get the vibe that they're that great of friends either.
It doesn't feel warm. It feels very lonely. And then I just kind of imagined her going back home to her like very clean house by herself and like not having anyone to call. And I started my heart started to hurt for her. Because it's like, even with like the Giannina with her drama mom, at least though she's dealing with having to console her mother, like she has this family and these friends who are, that she's close with, and there's people to help console you. And Kenny has his parents, and like, it just feels like Jessica's completely alone.
Huh. And yeah, and we see someone did some digging and they found on Jessica's Instagram a photo with her brother and her dad from 2014.
Maybe they didn't want to be a part. Maybe they didn't want to be a part of it.
Maybe.
Whatever it was sad. It was sad, and the venue felt more cold than the other ones. Everything just felt more cold. And yeah, when her bridesmaids came in, it was just like by the way, I know that the three of them, I think the guy included was like they were her bridesmaids, but the way that she said it, she was like, the three of them walked in and she was like, hi, beautifuls, and George. And I liked to imagine for a moment that was the husband of one of the bridesmaids. And she was like, you brought fucking George. This is me getting ready for my wedding, and you can't not take your husband everywhere.
Attached at the hip. But my God.
On the other end, though, Bardia's back.
With a pregame pep talk.
About himself. Bardia declares, you're really hopeful that this is going to work out. And I actually really admire that about you, because let me tell you a tale of the type of person that I am. I don't know if something's going to happen. I shove it down and blah, 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 blah. And we're just like, Bardia, this is about Mark, okay? Your best friend is getting married. We don't need to hear about what type of person you are. This show is about him. Bardia.
Unbelievable.
And then Bardia has the nerve to say, what are you hoping is going to happen today? And Mark's like, well, that we both say I do, I guess.
That I get married on my wedding day. That is my that's my hope.
That's the ultimate goal. So
well, okay, so before she walks down the aisle, she says, like, she's talking about him, and she says, if she would have seen his age or that he was a fitness instructor, she might not have been into it. And I was just like, wait, I thought that was your think, I don't know. I was just really confused by that. I don't know why. I was
Well-
like, why would you not been into him if he was a fitness instructor?
Well,
Because of like money? But then I was like, wait, is he a personal trainer or is he a fitness instructor? Does he have a little mic thing and he's like, and now ladies, we're going to do a step to the, like, what?
oh, I bet he would be so good at that if he was like led a Zumba class, because he's like so
I imagine
encouraging
it at
and
like
sweet.
I imagine it with like elderly people.
Oh,
He's like, you're going to get your 2-pound weight and you're going to.
oh yeah. Well, that definitely could be a potential. Like, she doesn't like the type of instructor he is. My
Maybe
thought
not a personal
also,
trainer.
though, is that I think she was like, fitness is important to her. But I was thinking money, because she did bring up money a lot. And she also, I don't know if you
As
remember,
a career, yeah.
a couple weeks ago, she was like, I would normally date people because of status and whatever. So I'm thinking, oh, she said that she's never
Career-wise,
dated
yeah.
anyone younger than her. She brings up status. And then I start thinking, oh my God, in the pods, when she's talking to both Mark and Barnett, Barnett's an engineer, like his title is engineer. So from Jessica's perspective, it's like, ooh, he's an engineer.
I do get it, because it's like, obviously she's established, she has her house, she has everything. And I do understand it from a financial perspective, being like, yeah, like someone who makes, like being where she is and then having a 24-year-old who's making like $25K a year might not be what
Sure.
she's looking for out
And
of a
sure,
marriage,
and that's the
which I
thing,
do
sure.
get.
To each their own.
And I don't think it's shallow necessarily either. You know, she's like, well, I don't personally want to be the breadwinner, and I'm like, well, I can get that.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
well, before they walk down the aisle, we have a moment where we see Mark and his mom, and she kills me. And she is telling him that she loves him and is praying over him, and then is like, let's run away together, you and I. And I'm like, Jessica is watching this from home and is like, this is the shit I'm talking about. This is the shit I'm talking about. This is the problem I had with the whole situation. Well, she walks down the aisle by herself, and
then I just have to say, when he does his vows, he says all this sweet stuff, and she goes, love that.
Love that. And then she says, Mark.
Love that.
Marky Mark. It's all bad signs. It's all bad signs. But she has this huge smile on. And as soon as Mark says I do, though, like actually says I do, her face goes like, she's smiling, but she's just like, oh shit. Now I have to be the one. She's probably really banking on the fact that they were going to ask her first, and that she could be like, I do not. And then Mark wasn't having to say I do. And then her having to be like, no, actually not. And she then says, I cannot. And I'm so proud of us for getting through the ups and downs, but I don't think either one of us is ready to take this on. And I'm like, here we go again. This is this Damien bullshit where you're including him in your narrative. You're not ready. You don't want to get married. But Mark seems very ready and very willing and very excited about getting married. But instead of just saying, you know what, I cannot, I'm so sorry. You know, even I'm proud of us for going through the ups and the downs, but I can't do it. I can't do this. She's just like, you're not ready either. Just so you know. Because I don't know if you remember this. I don't know if I've mentioned this, but you're 24. So
I think that it's just like, it's a way of like trying to shift it off of herself. And I don't know. But also I was like, the vow exchange was straight up making me nauseous. And I was like, is it weird that I would sleep with Jessica before I would sleep with Mark?
Listen, there is something about when someone does not pick up on the ick that makes the ick so strong. It just alleviates all potential feelings. He does not pick up on the ick. And you know what's even more earth-shattering, Bekah? Is that in the reunion, he still has not picked up on the ick. He still does not get that Jessica was not into him physically. Like, he does not. He still is like, no, we just didn't work out long term because we had different, whatever. Like, he's making up something in his, like, you're like, Mark, figure it out. And her friends were killing me. So her bridesmaids, she's walking down the aisle and her bridesmaid I took a screenshot and I sent it to Bekah, and one of her bridesmaids turns to her friend and has this kind of smirk, and it was like, oh my God, it's so embarrassing for her.
Yeah, Jessica took a screenshot and sent it to me, and I was just like...
The most mean girl moment I've ever seen. It's not like, oh my God, our poor friend, our poor sweet friend, let's go chase after her.
So embarrassing.
It's like, oh my God, that's just so embarrassing for her. Wow. On national
She will never
television.
recover from this. Yeah, exactly.
And they're secretly stoked about it. They're like, oh my God, we can't wait to talk shit about her after this.
His poor mom, she is really so sweet. And I just really, again, could not imagine dealing with your poor child going through this.
Hey, Broads, had to take a quick pause right here for a second because due to social distancing technical complications, the audio from here on out on Bekah's end got a little funky, so you're going to be hearing her audio via the Skype. Apologies for the technical difficulties, but hey, with what's going on, we always try to keep it 100, but sometimes there's a little error. Anywho, appreciate your flexibility, and let's get back to this Jessica Mark disaster. And Mark's mom, I mean, she was smothering him to death. He was just like, I'm gonna be okay. But she just loves him so much, and like you said, the idea of seeing your child just devastated like this is just horrible. Now, on the other side, Jessica is crying very slightly, and she's leaning against this couch thing, and she's actually falling asleep, I think.
I know. Jess was like, is there someone a little barred out? Is that what's going on here?
I think, the level of calm.
Can you blame her?
And then falling asleep against this on the couch with her face pushed against it. And it kind of made it look like she was thinking, but I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure that she's asleep. And she says, I'm too much of a realist to take this big of a chance. I guess I'll apologize to whoever I need to apologize to, but I'm not going to apologize to myself because I'm not actually sorry. And I'm like, those were a poor choice of words because they will use this clip and make you look horrible as Mark's being cried over by his mother and you being like, I am not sorry and I will not apologize.
God.
It was so brutal. So brutal. Well, should we talk then? Should we go happy?
Yeah,
wrap up the weddings.
Lauren and Cameron. There's nothing else to really say. I am ready to be over talking about Jessica and Mark for now. Of course, we're going to recap. We'll recap the reunion very briefly. I mean,
yeah, because it was a waste of an hour. If I'm being honest,
it was really a waste of an hour.
Yeah.
We'll hit some of the major points, but basically. There were some notable things before the ceremony. So her mom at the wedding says she just likes Lauren. This is Lauren's mother. Said, or before the wedding, says she just likes to just do things and see how it goes. And I'm like, what?
Oh,
red
no.
flag.
Oh no. What's about to happen?
Not something I was foresaw.
I know. I was very stressed. I was very, very nervous. Her friends actually seemed super supportive on the wedding day, which I thought was so nice. It was like, because beforehand they were all sketched out, but you can tell now they know and they're there and they're with her. And there was even though Lauren was super nervous, all the moments were very sweet with her mom and her bridesmaids. They were praying beforehand, which was so sweet. And then Papa Speed shows up and I am sobbing.
Oh, I know.
This is the only.
He's crying. I'm crying. He's so goddamn supportive. It's so cute.
This is the only. This moment, and then when they were exchanging vows, that was the only piece of this episode 10 of the weddings that I shed a tear on. And her with Papa Speed, it was just like, I just love that we were so nervous about how he was going to be. And he is just, he was so, so, so loving and supportive of his daughter.
And I'll just talk about it right now since, whatever. The conversation that they had at the reunion was so sweet, too, about how, I I can't even remember his name. Cameron was like, he is like a part of her and I love her. And so I love him. And it was just beautiful. And them talking about their families getting together for Thanksgiving. And it was
absolutely one of the most touching moments that I've witnessed on reality television. And he was looking so handsome with his suit and glasses too. And they were just, I mean, they were absolutely precious. And we see also briefly, we see Cameron's mom. We hadn't seen his parents or his family at all. And, we can see where Cameron gets his, like, she's serious like Cameron.
Yes.
and pretty stoic and nervous to lose her baby boy, but supportive of him. It was just, lovely families, lovely people.
Good vibes.
Well, the moment that Lauren started walking down the aisle, Cameron was bawling.
But this time it was cute.
It was so sweet. It was like, and literally, the second that she walked in and Cameron started crying, everyone in the room, it felt like, even though maybe people didn't know each other, it was almost like, even just watching from the outside, it was like everyone became a family in the room. It felt like
beautiful.
It was beautiful. And when Papa Speed, when the officiant was like, who gives her away? And Papa Speed said, I do. I just nearly died. It was just like, it's all happening. It's all happening. And it's so wonderful.
We've been waiting for this moment. It finally comes together.
He's bringing Cameron into the family. And yeah, I mean, his vows, yeah. When she wiped the tear away with her like little handkerchief, and everyone was beaming. Everyone from both sides of the family. I mean, it was...
And I was actually nervous about Lauren. I genuinely was. And then, like you said, when they got up there, I was like, oh.
It was like her nerve levels, the second she locked eyes with her person, it was like, all right, I can do this. It's okay. We love each other. Like, the families, everyone's happy. And I want to give a major shout out to everyone's families in this situation, because I will tell you this, your family, your future in-laws, your friends can affect and make a positive or terrible impact on your wedding day, and especially in regards to nerves. So everyone on Lauren's side was happy and calm and open with her, and I'm sure that really helped her process the day, versus like people asking questions. Like we saw some of the other families being like, are you sure? Do you know? Da, 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 da. And it being like, I don't need that energy today. I'll make the decision. Yes. I just need support and love and calm right now, and a happy time.
Yeah.
Well, they say I do, and I was cheering, and then when Lauren in the interview was like, I was looking for Cam for 30 years, and apparently he was looking for me too.
Adorable.
It's too much for my heart. Yeah.
Anything else to say about that?
I don't think so. I was just so grateful that the couple that we saw from literally day one, that we were like, there's no way that they can't be for forever, are still years now after this. Literally, it's been a year and a half, are still together and still very much in love, and whose parents love each other now, and families, and it's just so beautiful to see. And what's so
still
cool...
Still
the one. And it's so beautiful to see too, because most of the time with these reality shows, it's like, all right, you guys have been together for about 2 months. How's it going? It's so cool, actually, that it was so long that you're like, whoa, these couples are solidified. Like, you've gone through shit together. Yeah. Like, this is not just like...
So it actually means something when they're like, we've had our share of ups and downs. It's like, yeah, you went through your first year already together.
Yeah, and it's not like The Bachelor where it's like, okay, you guys see each other maybe 3 times for a happy couple. And I've just been talking on the phone. You actually you're living together. This is real life. Like, you've been living, breathing every moment.
Not to mention that their first year, since the show hadn't aired yet, is actually even different from the first year of a Bachelor couple because they're not high on doing press tours, brand deals, Instagram followers, whatever. They're actually like after the show finishes filming, they're going back into their normal lives.
Yeah.
And have a very normal first year together, which I'm imagining actually sets them up really well.
Yeah.
For when the show actually hits and whatever criticism, whatever, all that they might handle. So
that's so true. I hadn't thought about that. And that feels like that would be something that also would be maybe so special to have together. Like you were you weren't in the public eye at all and you fell in love and have had a year of marriage. And now all of a sudden you're able to have this whirlwind experience, but you're with your best friend and like partner doing it.
Yep, exactly.
It's beautiful.
So, first thing I have to say about the reunion is, and this is in bold capital letters, the highlight of the reunion is Nick Lachey once again said, obviously, I'm Nick Lachey.
Okay, he said that as a joke, right? Was that supposed to be tongue-in-cheek?
Is it his tagline?
I don't know. Like, is now because they filmed the reunion like a year and a half later, were people giving him shit about it? So is he now like making fun of himself? I couldn't tell because it wasn't completely obvious. Oh God.
He's serious.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no, Nick.
How embarrassing.
I know.
And then also they start out the thing with this stupid raise your hand bullshit.
I know. I'm like, can we just like what?
Who produced like you? We were texting. You were like, the production is terrible, and I was like, yeah. Who is producing this? Is it Vanessa herself?
When they made them raise their hands, well, all of us at home are having to pause for a second and be like, wait, hold on, I'm having to count because they're scanning the room quick. I'm like, wait. And then it's like, yeah, raise your hand if you're still together. Raise your hand if you're still with the couple. Raise your hand if you're still with different. I'm just like, what? I'm trying to keep note and like tally what's going on. I don't understand.
No, I know. That was just pure craziness.
And they legit just like did not ask important fucking questions. Like there were so many questions that I had that just were not answered. And it was just like, yeah, whoever wrote the prompting questions for Nick and Vanessa, it was not it. It was not it, truly.
Not it. Okay, I'll let you take the lead. What do you want to talk about most from the thing? What do you think is most notable?
I mean, just
like
talk
about Carlton Diamond.
Yeah, I mean, the updates, the brief updates, we pretty much covered. Lauren and Cameron madly in love. Families love each other. Giannina and Damien are together and over the top.
We find out nothing about that.
Yeah. Kelly apparently started dating her best friend after she left Kenny, and apparently he was at the wedding, which is very awkward. That was some fun tea.
Wait, Kelly's married?
No. Kelly started dating someone in the interim, and it was her best friend who was at her and Kenny's wedding. And on the other hand, Kenny has been dating someone for a while who he is madly in love with. I checked.
Best girlfriend ever, I think he said.
Best girlfriend ever. I looked on his Instagram. They are like over the top for each other. I'm happy for him. But again, he clearly has an issue with Kelly and they're not making eye contact. And I need to find out more info about that. Let's see. Jessica and Mark. Mark doesn't get that she isn't attracted to him. And Jessica acknowledges that she was cringe central, and that her drinking was an issue. She mentions the drinking. Yeah, I think
What? Okay. Yeah, here are the two things we should cover. We should definitely cover Amber and Jessica.
Yes.
And we should definitely cover, I think, Carlton and Diamond.
Yes. Agreed.
Okay.
Carlton and Diamond.
Like, I don't know where to start. Carlton said the engagement was still the happiest day of his life, which made me really kind of sad.
Yeah. The energy with him and Diamond made me feel sad in general. Like he says that like he's still in love with, like he loves her, but apparently they have made peace, and one of them reached out and now they're okay, which is good. I don't know. I just felt like they spent a long time talking to them kind of about like how they felt. Carlton clears up, which I am grateful for. I think he cleared up that like he never was intending to say that Diamond is biphobic or homophobic or anything like that, because I guess she was getting a lot of heat for that. And he never felt that way, which I was super glad that he acknowledged and talked about that, so that she, wasn't receiving that hate when she didn't feel that way. I don't know. I mean, I just felt like the whole thing ended really awkwardly because he like friend proposed to her at the end.
And it went on her ring finger, and
she was like, okay. And I didn't understand what was happening. Like, why is he proposing? I mean, why is he putting the?
He did have like a nice apology.
Yeah.
I mean, I also felt like I wish it had been addressed a little more, like his just bad behavior.
Yes.
Like, outside of, because we were having sort of this conversation about, him revealing that he was bi, but I felt like the bigger, I don't know. I just didn't feel like it got addressed the way that he sort of I mean, I guess it did. He said he was sorry. I don't know. I just didn't feel like it was really brought up. Like,
yeah, I felt though like
actual issues with how he.
I felt like that about the whole episode though. Like Jessica's behavior wasn't really brought up that much either until Amber started like going in on her.
Yeah.
Like Vanessa. That's why I did not like Vanessa as a host or Nick, because they weren't digging and like, hey, so what was the deal with that?
Oh
no, Vanessa was just like crying and just like, oh, it's so wonderful. And like at one point, like Carlton was apologizing and she kind of looked at Diamond. She's like, obviously you regret some of your things and whatever. And Diamond kind of pushed.
What the
Diamond pushed back on her and was kind of like, I would imagine in your circumstance you would probably have felt the same way. And she like pushed back on Vanessa a little bit. And
you wouldn't allow someone to talk to you like that.
Yeah. And so, but they didn't as hosts address like anything specifically. But I felt like in general, Carlton apologized, and they had I'm glad that they're okay and they're friends now, or like at least cordial with each other. The friend proposal at the end just made it very weird for me, and I didn't understand what was happening.
Yes, and then Vanessa says, I'm never speechless. And Nick goes, trust me, this never happens. And he's looking directly at the camera, and I'm like, is this right? Blink twice if she's holding you hostage.
Did you notice how they were sitting, Bekah? There's the couch, their small love seat. Vanessa is in the middle, not on her side. She is in the middle, and Nick is squished like this. Vanessa is like front and center camera. Like, I'm going to get right in the center, and Nick's just off the side like this.
One thing I will say differently, before we talk about Amber and Jessica's little confrontation, I thought it was interesting. Damien said he wouldn't have done anything differently when it came down to the thing, which is sort of.
So go ahead. You think it's respectful?
Not respectful. I was just sort of like, all right.
I just feel like Damien's the type of person who is just like, I live life with no regrets. I regret nothing.
Oh God!
And even when you're like,
doesn't see any issue with anything that he does, kind of thing.
Right. When you're like the type of guy who's saying to Gina, like, yeah, Giannina, like you're running away, and you're like, do you not understand your fault in this situation at all? Like,
yeah. Oh yeah. What? Totally. Yes, that makes sense.
It's like maybe that you're like, dude, no, you should regret a few of your decisions.
Yeah, maybe you should have done things differently. Like maybe not called her the fuck out in front of everyone, you bitch.
Well, Amber and Jessica. This was very real and very uncomfortable.
Okay, one thing that Jessica said about Mark is, again, like these contradictions in life. She said his looks were never a concern, obviously.
And that's just not true because she said on the show that she wouldn't have been attracted to him. And she said to Kelly at some point that she's not necessarily like physically attracted to him. I forget her exact
and then,
words.
Right after that, she says, like, I was always honest and I don't regret that throughout this process. I'm like, but you weren't, but okay.
But you weren't, but cool. Also, Amber, we note that, which by the way, Amber and Barnett have fully changed physical form. Amber is blonde. Barnett is wearing some like Tiger King type flashy jacket.
Yes, exactly.
It's like, what's happening right now? I'm confused. But she is very, I love how straight up and open she is. She basically covers and says, Barnett and I, we love each other. We did almost get divorced at one point towards the beginning of this because Barnett couldn't handle the fact that I'm a cocktail waitress and like maybe what I was wearing, whatever. And by the way, I'm like, we bet she's a bartender. Close. And that they were having arguments and that she was like, I wanted to provide, but then he wasn't, blah, 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 blah. And she was so straight up and just like airing all their dirty laundry. And Barnett's just doing this. He's just like, I'm letting her go. But they seem to then be doing really well now and have found a good stride. But she
calls Jessica the fuck out.
Unbelievable. She calls her out so hardcore about the fact that she's disgusted by the fact that Jessica is disrespecting their relationship and going behind her back
and in front of her
and also that including her very good friend Mark, who obviously Mark and Amber are close, and that she would hurt Mark like that and do all this in front of Amber's face, and that if she, again, we addressed this, but if she would have been straightforward about it, Amber would have been fine. And to be honest with you, I believe that.
Yeah.
I believe Amber when she says, like, I think if Jessica would have looked at Amber and been like, here's the deal, girl, I've got the hots for or I've got the hots for Barnett, and I just kind of can't get over it. I feel like Amber would be the type of person to be like, well, fuck, here's the thing. Like,
I get it.
He's never going to be with you because like him and I are good, but like, I get it, girl. I get it. She seems like she'd be that type.
Well, what really bothered me too is it's actually later. Jessica didn't say it at that moment, but later on she said she like blamed the whiskey. She's like, well, whiskey is involved. This is actually, I think, what she was talking about, saying, I think Barnett is fucking hot to Mark. I think this is what she was addressing. And she said, and she says she wasn't that into Barnett at the time and that whiskey was involved. And I'm like, that's just obviously a straight up fucking lie.
That's also one of the situations that she approached Barnett.
One of the many.
Yes.
One of the many. And I don't know. What was her response back to Jessica? I don't know why I didn't even write down what what was Jessica's response back to Amber?
I mean, Jessica fully apologized to her. She's like, it was wrong. I'm sorry. She made like the excuse again of whiskey and like, I really wasn't that into him, blah, 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 blah. But then she was very like, but it was completely wrong. And I totally get why you were so upset. And I really, really deeply apologize. And she apologized numerous times and made it really clear. But I think that, then Amber's response was basically saying to her, like, I appreciate your apology and I hear you, but like, I can't fully accept it in the moment, which I
thought was fair.
I think it's fair too. If someone was like coming for Evan and coming on to him all the time when I was like in the same room and I had to watch that on TV, and then the girl did realize the error of her ways and apologize, I wouldn't be like, all right, all good, girl. I'd be like, no, that really is really hurtful and really angering to me.
This is also very soon after watching back, I'm guessing.
Yes.
Almost immediately after.
So it's very
airing.
fresh. It's very fresh. But, you know, all in all, the reunion, there was no like brawls, which I was really hoping for a little more drama and a little more tea spilt. But I think I think that the mistake that Love is Blind production made is that I think The Bachelor has gotten really good at is The Bachelor used to be their reunion show or after the final rose used to be really perfect and wrapped in a bow. They love each other, no tea spilt, and then all of a sudden they had like a Jason Mesnick season that was a hot mess and everyone tuned in.
Oh, we got to keep doing this.
Yep. And Love is Love is Blind production was just like, we're just going to make it look all flowery and pretty and not spill any tea. And it's like, no, you got to give us a little bit.
What I also would have done differently was the actual structure. So I would have put like Amber and Jessica in a hot seat situation together.
Yes.
Diamond and Carlton, et cetera, et cetera. I would have given like Mark a hot seat. Like I would have done that kind of vibe. I think it allows things to get a little juicier.
Yeah, it felt like an interview on Good Morning America where they brought the cast of Love is Blind on and they were just like, hey, let's touch base. How y'all doing? And they get like
100%.
2 minutes to talk. This wasn't like an in-depth, any sort of reunion where they're all like, even let's take a note from Real Housewives. Let's all do a shot at the end of this. Let's have moments where like we're going through sequences of the season. Like, okay, well, did anything happen at the bachelorette party? Let's have some wild behind the scenes stories. Like that's what we needed. Andy Cohen to come in and to host this thing.
Yeah, it was trash. But that being said, I am excited for season 2.
Me
and
too.
I hope that they kind of iron out some of these things that could have been better from season 1.
I am very much looking forward to seeing what level of production they up and like how everything goes down, and if they respond to our change.org petition to remove Vanessa and Nick Lachey.
Actually, though, who would you have host it besides Lauren and Cameron? Like if you had a real host.
Oh, that's tough.
Ryan Seacrest. Kim Kardashian.
Vicky Gunvalson.
Vicky Gunvalson.
With what's his name who lied to her about having cancer? Brooks.
Oh,
Brooks. Reunite Brooks and Vicky Gunvalson as hosts.
I actually think your call is the best, and I think that producers should listen to this and have Amber and Barnett and Lauren and Cameron giving like advice, not actually having hosts, and have them sort of like facilitating it and interviewing the couples and having like one-on-one conversations with the girls and stuff.
It would be fun to have Amber and Barnett too, because they'd add a different element, and they have them switch off sometimes and do it together. And you know that Amber would ask the tough questions in the reunion, and so would Lauren. Lauren would ask the tough questions.
Oh yeah,
they wouldn't sidestep Vanessa Lachey around.
Love it.
Here are petitions. Broads, we did it. We truly did it. Love is Blind.
And I think... Go ahead.
Skype sometimes is tough.
I think that I'm looking forward to going back to some of our regularly scheduled programming too, and doing some interviews with people and getting back into that swing of things of doing only one episode of reality TV coverage a week.
Same. And tune in. Watch, listen to your heart. Let's do this as a broad squad together. I want to hear opinions. So tune in on Tuesday. We will have our recap of Listen to Your Heart episode 2. And on Thursday, we actually have a really cool interview that we did before quarantine started. So it was an in-person, with an amazing human being named Ruthie Lindsay. I'm sure a bunch of you follow her, and we had an incredible conversation. And I feel like it actually is really timely with everything going on too. Even though we recorded at the start of everything, but hope you tune into that. And we love you all. Is love truly blind? I think maybe sometimes not.
Yep. And with that, chat soon.
Chat soon, broads.